Chapter 2050. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the Golden Dragon King wouldn't ask about these things. He asked out of respect. Our Reincarnation Island's Heaven Wasteland Army will become the strongest and most united army in Heaven Wasteland City in the future. Nan Yong, you'll be stationed at Demon Mountain. I can't go there often, so I'll send you someone who knows the rules. Lin Yun, you'll be assisting Nan Yong in unifying the Heaven Wasteland Army. You'll be the deputy commander. Nan Yong, go back and announce it. Night Sorrow instructed Nan Yong. Don't worry, Commander. Nan Yong will take care of it. Nan Yong nodded. Song Jin Gang, you'll lead Duan Qianshui and manage the Heaven Wasteland Army under your command. Shi Qing, you'll lead Long Hao. Lin Chuan, you'll stay in the First Army. Night Sorrow instructed. The few of them accepted the order and knew where they belonged. Newcomers have just arrived. The first thing they have to do is familiarize themselves with the rules of the Heaven Wasteland Army. The three of you, if you don't behave, be careful of the consequences. Night Sorrow glanced at Lin Chuan and the other two. Commander, the rules of the Heaven Wasteland Army are to challenge. It's a bit messy now that they're here. Shi Qing rubbed his nose and said. He believed that he was pretty good among the Emperor Realm cultivators, but he was still a distance away from the top few on the Emperor Realm Heaven ranking. If they want to challenge you, I'll beat them up so badly that no one can recognize them. Alright, go back to your camps and train. You guys should train as well. You have to be extremely proficient in the joint attack formation, Night Sorrow said. The commanders have left. Lin Chuan, I'll talk about your arrangements. I've just thought about it. It's more suitable for you to stay in the God-slaying squad. The God-slaying squad strength is lower, but the pace of cultivation is faster. You'll be able to get used to the situation here faster, Night Sorrow said to Lin Chuan. I'll listen to the commander's arrangements. Lin Chuan nodded. Long Jin, bring Lin Chuan to the God-slaying squad's encampment and settle down, Night Sorrow instructed. Long Jin led Lin Chuan away, leaving only Night Sorrow and the Golden Dragon King in the tent. They've quieted down so quickly. That's a good arrangement. Next, Samsara Island's members will have to be strong even if they don't want to. Those bastards are pretty strong now. The main thing is that they have a lot of room for growth, the Golden Dragon King said. I don't know how long the world will remain stable. Our Samsara Island has a lot of room for development, especially the God-slaying team. What they lack now is time, Night Sorrow said. Normally speaking, there's still some time, because they're still a bit weaker than us when it comes to fighting a decisive battle. Of course, there are still some unexpected situations. The God-slaying team had more potential than any other unified Heaven Wasteland army. They were too young and lacked time to cultivate. Also, now that there are so many people, we don't seem to have enough space acceleration treasures. How about this? I'll research and set up a time acceleration array. That way, it'll be more convenient for everyone, said the Golden Dragon King. Then I'll have to trouble you, Golden Dragon King. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at the Golden Dragon King. After settling down, the Golden Dragon King set up the time acceleration array every day. Night Sorrow walked around the various divisions' campsites every day, mainly to see how the newcomers Lin Chuan, Long Hao, and Duan Qianshui were integrating. After seeing them, Night Sorrow was satisfied. This was because they were very diligent in their cultivation of the joint attack array. Commander, if I cultivate like this, will I be able to defeat Huang Jia the next time I see her? After Night Sorrow arrived at the God-slaying team's campsite, Lin Chuan, who was cultivating the joint attack array, shouted at Night Sorrow. You definitely can't not cultivate. If you cultivate properly and become like the others, I'll help you think of a way, Night Sorrow said. Alright, I believe you. Lin Chuan nodded. Everyone cultivated diligently. Knight Sorrow's clone had nothing to do, so he began to study the alchemy manual. His array formation cultivation had reached a certain level, so he planned to improve his alchemy skills. Low-level elixirs were useless. If Knight Sorrow wanted to refine high-level elixirs, he had to improve his alchemy skills. If he lacked materials, Knight Sorrow would send Tianyu or Long Jin to the Heaven Wasteland City and the Divine Capital City to search for them. Their true bodies were cultivating, so it was fine for their clones to run around. On the other hand, Knight Sorrow discovered a benefit. When Tianyu and Long Jin were looking for materials that they could not purchase, they would gather the descendants of the various divine beasts and tell them what they needed. Of course, they would not ask for it for free. They would exchange it for something of equal value. 2 months later, Knight Sorrow refined a cauldron of Tier 9 elixirs, the Arch Spirit Elixir. The Arch Spirit Elixir was an elixir that increased one's perception. Its main ingredient was the Tao spiritual grass that grew in the cracks of space. It could allow the user to comprehend the will of heaven and earth faster and increase the cultivation level of the will of heaven and earth faster. It was the most effective elixir for king and the sovereign to enter the heaven monarch realm. Knight Sorrow gave some to the members of the god-slaying team who had not entered the heaven monarch realm. Following that, Knight Sorrow began to study another elixir called the Arch Tribulation Elixir. The effect of the Arch Tribulation Elixir was to increase the chances of a heaven monarch realm cultivator entering the Arch realm. The main ingredient of this elixir was very precious. It was the inner core of an extremely rare heaven giant beast. None of the major factions had this ingredient because the heaven giant beast was so rare that it was almost impossible to find one. Even the various divine beast races that had been passed down for several reincarnations did not have any in stock. Just as Knight Sorrow was a little worried, Wu Lingfei arrived at the Reincarnation Island and the god-slaying team's encampment. When she saw Knight Sorrow was still trying to find a substitute for the inner core of a heaven giant beast. Seeing that Knight Sorrow was worried, Wu Lingfei asked about it. "It's nothing. I'm just lacking an ingredient for refining elixirs." Knight Sorrow put down what he was doing and brewed a pot of tea. "That's not a problem. Take your time." Wu Lingfei smiled and sat down. "I can't take my time. The members of the god-slaying team are all quite talented. However, entering the Arch realm is a bottleneck. If I get stuck, it will take a lot of time. Therefore, I have to refine some elixirs," Knight Sorrow said. "What do you need? Let me see if I can help you find it." "The Ice Phoenix Race's foundation is not bad," Wu Lingfei said. Knight Sorrow was not polite with Wu Lingfei. He immediately told her what he needed. "Oh, 7-11-inch, then I'll go back to the race and ask. I'll come back later." Wu Lingfei was naturally willing to help Knight Sorrow. "Aunt Fei, our reincarnation island will not take the ingredients for free. If the Ice Phoenix race has it, we can give you a condition. As long as the condition is not harsh, we can accept it," Knight Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei didn't say any more courteous words. She understood Yishang. She knew that Yishang didn't want to owe others favors. He didn't care if he owed her, but he definitely didn't want to owe the Ice Phoenix clan anything. Half a month later, Wu Lingfei came with the inner core of a heaven giant beast. However, the Ice Phoenix race also had a condition. They wanted 1/3 of the elixirs refined from the inner core. If they could, Knight Sorrow could use the inner core. If not, the deal would be a failure. Chapter 2051. Lord Golden Dragon King, please don't be angry. This wasn't my parents' idea. My parents have some conflicts with the elders. I got the Heaven Beast's core from the Ice Phoenix race's 10,000 treasure pavilion. This is the price the elders proposed. I don't want to talk to them about anything else, Wu Lingfei said. Okay, I'll give 1/3 to the Ice Phoenix race. Knight Sorrow nodded. Although the price was a little high, Knight Sorrow could accept it. The Heaven Beast's core was relatively large and could be refined into many pills. After nearly half a month, Knight Sorrow refined the Monarch Trial pill. He refined a total of 5 furnaces, with more than 20 pills per furnace. In total, he refined 120 pills. Knight Sorrow gave Wu Lingfei 40 pills. Knight Sorrow, I'm sorry. It's a little too much to ask for just the materials, Wu Lingfei said. It's nothing. Fortunately, Auntie Fei helped me obtain the Heaven Colossal Beast's inner core. Otherwise, it's hard to say whether or not this Emperor Tribulation pill could be refined. Auntie Fei, please take the pill back, said Yishang. Okay. My parents have a conflict with the elders mainly because they want to fight for some benefits for me. I'm afraid that it will alarm the Ice Phoenix race's Grand Elder. I'll return the pills to avoid rumors. I'll come back later, Wu Lingfei said after taking the pills. After sending Wu Lingfei off, Knight Sorrow distributed the pills to the members of the God-slaying squad. He gave out almost half of them. I've paved the way for you. Whether you can enter the Emperor realm or not is up to you. I'll be grounded for 30 years. I'll give you 50 years. If you can't enter the Emperor realm in 50 years, you'll join the God-slaying squad and return to the Primal Chaos realm to maintain its stability. Although I don't want to make some decisions, I don't want to see you lose your lives on the battlefield in the future, Knight Sorrow said, then turned and left. Oh, W forever and less than a long time of free W read T novel. Brothers and sisters, don't blame the captain. He's doing this for everyone's sake. He wants everyone to live, Long Jean said. We understand. Captain once said that when he returns in the future, he hopes that all of us will still be around, Xue Ling, who was still a monarch, said. After leaving the God-slaying team's encampment, Knight Sorrow gave more than half of the remaining Emperor Spirit pills and Emperor Tribulation pills to Datura, who had come to visit her. Take these back to the 9-domain world. Keep half of them in the Yi clan and give the other half to those with potential. The Ice Phoenix clan is too greedy. They don't have enough pills to begin with, Datura said after putting away the pills. Resources aren't enough for anyone, so don't be dissatisfied with the Ice Phoenix race. Even if we don't give face to others, we still have to give face to Aunt Fei, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. At this time, in the Ice Phoenix clan's main hall, concubine Wu Lingfei sat in the main seat. Her parents sat on the left side, and on the right side sat an old man. The elders of the Ice Phoenix clan sat in rows on both sides. Your Elder Council's request was that one Heaven Giant Beast's inner core cost 40 Emperor Tribulation pills. Now that I've taken back the 40 Emperor Tribulation pills, I ask the Elder Council to remember one thing. In the future, if you need someone to do something for you, do it yourself. I, Wu Lingfei, am not that shameless. After Wu Lingfei finished speaking, she threw the pills into the hands of the elders of the 10,000 Treasures Pavilion. Empress Fei, don't be angry. Today, we were originally going to discuss some clan rules. What's the matter with the pills? A white-haired woman sitting to Wu Lingfei's right asked. Elder, a friend of the human race wants to use the Heaven Giant Beast's inner core to refine pills. I came back to help find the materials. The Elder Council requested that one of the materials cost 1/3 of the finished pills. You have to know that in the past, the Golden Dragon Clan, Green Dragons, White Tiger Clan, and Blood Qilin Clan all provided the materials unconditionally. Furthermore, he didn't take advantage of anyone. Wu Lingfei's words were emotionless. She was very angry. So many Divine Beast clans are willing to help. Who is he? The white-haired woman asked. She was the only remaining elder of the Ice Phoenix clan. Granduncle, this person isn't simple. He's already at the peak of the Emperor realm in less than 1,000 years of life. Furthermore, he's the #1 of the Celestial Realm's 100 clan hero gathering. He's the virtuous emperor, the crownless human emperor. Men, pass the information about Night Sorrow to the Elder Council, Huang Ling said. Following Huang Ling's words, the intelligence personnel of the Ice Phoenix clan passed the information about Night Sorrow to the white-haired woman, Huang Yuqing. After reading the information about Night Sorrow, Huang Yuqing shook her head and looked at the elder of the Million Treasure Pavilion who was holding the elixir. Give half of the elixir to Empress Fei and return it to her. The elder of the Million Treasure Pavilion divided another portion of the elixir and returned the elixir bottle to Wu Lingfei with both hands. It's useless even if you take it back. I'll remember this. Wu Lingfei's face was still filled with anger. Imperial concubine, please calm down. Since I'm here, there are some things that I have to talk about. Our race has been passed down for countless years and the rules were set by the previous Golden Phoenix. It's normal for the new Golden Phoenix to change them. Also, all of you better remember this. The Elder Guild is in charge of managing the affairs of the Ice Phoenix race. However, you don't have the right to be above the Imperial concubine. In the future, you will follow Imperial concubine's orders. Seeing Huang Yuqing leave, everyone in the hall stood up and sent her off. The Golden Phoenix has been born. The Ice Phoenix clan will prosper. Huang Yuqing's figure left but her voice was still transmitted into the hall. Since you're capable, you can do it. Wu Lingfei flicked her skirt and left the hall. Heavenly Astral King, Grand Elder Ling, how do you think we should deal with this? Huang Qin looked at Heavenly Astral King and Huang Ling and asked. Huang Ling had stepped down from her position as the Ice Phoenix clan's empress and was now a Grand Elder. It's now the 8th and 9th era of this reincarnation cycle. It's a great era. The 9th era is also a period of competition. At this time, the 100 Clan Alliance must be united. In addition, I won't avoid suspicion. The birth of the Golden Phoenix is a period of time for the Ice Phoenix clan. We must follow the Golden Phoenix's orders. If you're not willing, your Elder Council will do what you want and our family will do what we want, Huang Ling stood up and said. Don't worry, Grand Elder. We'll follow the ancestors' orders. Huang Qin and Huang Yu stood up. Wu Lingfei took half of the Emperor Tribulation pills to Reincarnation Island. Aunt Fei, you're here so soon. Don't tell me you're in a hurry to leave. Night Sorrow was surprised to see Wu Lingfei. They won't understand, so Aunt Fei will cultivate on Reincarnation Island in the future, Wu Lingfei said. Haha. That's great. I'll be grounded for 30 years. Aunt Fei can stay for as long as she wants. Night Sorrow was very happy. Chapter 2052. Jun Xuanji breaking through to the Emperor realm is a big deal. Does my martial uncle know about this? Night Sorrow asked Zhu Jiuyun. He doesn't know. Uncle Shiriyue went to see Lord King Yawu, but he didn't see him. So, he asked me to ask you and see what you have to say, Zhu Jiuyun said. Night Sorrow, if it was somewhere else, I could keep an eye on it. But this is the Reincarnation Island. There are many unstable factors. With Lord Yawu in seclusion, the Tianhuang city will be more stable. If there are any problems, the Tianhuang city will be fine, the Golden Dragon King said. If it was something else, the Golden Dragon King would take care of it. But this involved the 3 great heavens of the Demon Wing clan. He had to be careful. If Mo Yutian and Mo Zhantian came, he wouldn't be able to handle it. I understand. Ah Luo, go to the Tianhuang city and find Sister Xian. Then ask to see the Grand Elder. Tell him that I want to see the Grand Elder and tell him about this, Night Sorrow said to Datura Datura. Datura nodded and left. She was here to accompany Night Sorrow and help Night Sorrow pass on some words. After Datura left, Night Sorrow didn't feel at ease. This was a big deal. If it wasn't handled well, it could affect the war. Just as Night Sorrow was thinking, the Grand Elder appeared. Night Sorrow stood up and quickly asked the Grand Elder to sit down. My original body has gone to the divine capital to bring Jun Xuanji to the Tianhuang city. No one can do anything to the Tianhuang city. Also, I want to tell you that if the seal works, then there won't be a problem. If Mo Tianji's memory takes over after the tribulation and the imprint appears, then, you have to understand, the Grand Elder said. I understand. All we can do is try our best. If it doesn't work, then there's nothing we can do. Night Sorrow nodded. The reincarnation of Mo Tianji's soul was a huge threat. If it had happened to someone else, they would have been killed immediately. Since he couldn't go, he could only wait for news. Night Sorrow had no other choice. As a friend, he really didn't want anything to happen to Jun Xuanji. Just as Night Sorrow was feeling uneasy, Jun Xuanji, accompanied by the Grand Elder and Lin Piamiao, arrived at Reincarnation Island. Night Sorrow, I wanted to see you before my tribulation. I told the Grand Elder that if anything happened to me, he could kill me. I don't have any regrets in this life. I just can't bear to part with you and our friendship, said Jun Xuanji. You'll be fine, Grand Elder. If anything happens, lock her up. I'll find a way to solve it, Night Sorrow said. After talking with Night Sorrow for a while, Jun Xuanji and the Grand Elder left. Seeing the Grand Elder and Jun Xuanji leave, Night Sorrow returned to his tent. He wrote a letter and handed it to Lin Piamiao. The letter was for the city lord. He asked the city lord to lock up Jun Xuanji for a while and observe him. After Lin Piamiao took the letter away, Night Sorrow found something for himself to do. He continued to study the alchemy books that the spiritual tree sect elder gave him to improve his alchemy skills. While Night Sorrow was busy, Jun Xuanji began to go through the trials of wind and fire in a formation in the city. Outside the formation, the city lord showed Night Sorrow's letter to the Grand Elder. Even if he doesn't have the mark, we still have to lock him up, the Grand Elder asked the city lord. Yes. Yi Shang wrote this letter for 2 reasons. The first is that even if Jun Xuanji is in trouble, even if Mo Tianji's memory has the upper hand, he doesn't want us to kill him. He wants us to imprison him. The second reason is that even if Jun Xuanji is fine, he's still worried and wants to imprison him, said the city lord. Night Sorrow felt uneasy. Even if Pu Luo's real body was in the city and his doppelganger was by Night Sorrow's side, it would still be the same. Unspecified currency forever free CB 1 small % say 8 outside of the formation of the heavenly desolate city, the mayor and the elder had been observing the situation inside the formation. I placed a seal outside of her soul so that it won't affect her soul power. However, some of the senses won't be transmitted out, and the external senses won't affect her soul either. The main problem now is that when she enters the Imperial Realm and Mo Tianji's memories are awakened, whose memories will have the upper hand, said the city lord. Mo Tianji has lived for 8 eras and her memories are very complicated. Jun Xuanji's time is too short and his memories are very short. It's very easy for him to be influenced and corroded. Of course, it also depends on her own willpower. The Great Elder explained his analysis. Of course, the city lord was aware of this. These are all predictions. What we can control is that she can't do anything to change the situation or harm the celestial realm, the city lord nodded. Time passed bit by bit. In the formation, Jun Xuanji's destructive wind and soul-burning flame disappeared, which meant that she successfully entered the Emperor realm. At this moment, Jun Xuanji's face was filled with pain. His expression was even a bit ferocious. He kept switching between gritting his teeth and sneering. The city lord and the Grand Elder knew that this was the clash between Mo Tianji and Jun Xuanji's memories. At this moment, no one could help Jun Xuanji. The city lord and the Grand Elder were observing Jun Xuanji's aura. Once Mo Tianji's memories took over, Jun Xuanji's soul aura would change. This was inevitable and could not be faked. This clash of souls continued. Jun Xuanji knew very well that she had to maintain her sense of self. Once she lost her sense of self, she would become Mo Tianji's subordinate. Jun Xuanji operated his soul to resist the erosion of Mo Tianji's memories and soul. He was holding on. The city lord and the grand elder were watching. Although they were not afraid, they did not want Jun Xuanji to lose his sense of self. Time passed bit by bit, and this clash of souls continued. Pu Luo, who was standing beside the city lord, reported to Night Sorrow because Night Sorrow was also very worried. After hearing what Pu Luo's clone said, Night Sorrow anxiously paced back and forth. Don't worry. This situation means that Jun Xuanji's soul has not fallen. I think this situation is very good for Jun Xuanji. His soul memory has a point of support. It is supported by his body. The impact of Mo Tianji's memories will weaken as time passes. In the end, it will not be able to erode Jun Xuanji's soul at all, Pu Luo said. Yi Shang nodded. He knew that Pu Luo's words made sense. Normally, no one would resist the awakening of a soul because it was their own memory. However, Jun Xuanji was prepared from the beginning and resisted it from the beginning. Therefore, it was different from the awakening of some ordinary memories. Everyone who cared about Jun Xuanji was waiting. They were waiting for the result of this struggle, the result of this struggle against fate. Chapter 2053. Then should I bring Zhu Jiuyun to Reincarnation Island? Pu Luo asked. Sure. Bring her here after Jun Xuanji's matter is settled. Sigh. Mo Tianji alone is enough to turn my place upside down. Night Sorrow felt a little helpless because these matters made him feel powerless. In fact, Mo Tianji not being able to take advantage of you is already her failure. You should know what level of cultivator she is. I overheard the conversation between the city master of Tianhuang City and the great elder. Mo Tianji should be at the 8 Emperor Tribulation. She hasn't passed the 8 Emperor Tribulation yet because her aura and Heaven's mystery were covered by the human Emperor's seal when she was fighting with your master. In fact, at her peak, she was at the same level as the city master of Tianhuang City, King Yawu, and the great elder, said Pu Luo. She is indeed difficult to deal with. I have to admit that. Night Sorrow nodded. Night Sorrow took out a jar of wine and drank while pacing back and forth in the camp. He couldn't calm down at all, let alone study alchemy. 6 days passed in the blink of an eye. Pu Luo told Night Sorrow a piece of good news. Jun Xuanji had stabilized and wasn't controlled by Mo Tianji's memories yet. The aura is still Jun Xuanji's soul aura, but the aura has changed. It has become more domineering. In other words, the aura has become more aggressive, Pu Luo said to Night Sorrow. Although he hasn't been corrupted by Mo Tianji's memories, he must have absorbed some of them. This is really a problem. Night Sorrow exhaled and said. Night Sorrow knew that dealing with Jun Xuanji would affect Jun Xuanji's state of mind. Normally, it would be best to keep Jun Xuanji by his side and communicate with him more. However, because he was grounded for 30 years, he couldn't leave Reincarnation Island. He couldn't deal with this matter in the best way. While Night Sorrow was thinking, the Grand Elder appeared in the camp of Broken Sky Mountain. Night Sorrow, the city lord and I have thought about it. If we really do as you said and seal Jun Xuanji, she will definitely think that we have abandoned her. In that case, it would be better to just erase her. If we want to save her, we have to take care of her emotions. The Grand Elder said. Grand Elder, I'm sorry. Because of me, this simple matter has become complicated. Night Sorrow bowed to the Grand Elder. You're kind-hearted, and you don't do things that go against your conscience. This is your merit. Jun Xuanji's soul, and Jun Xuanji's soul, and find Jun Xuanji's soul. Jun Xuanji can't sense. And kill her. The Grand Elder said. Grand Elder, what do you think is suitable for her? Knight Sorrow asked. My clone will bring her here later. She will be by your side. You are the virtuous human sovereign. You will have a great influence on her. You can use your relationship with her to stabilize her emotions. As for whether or not there will be experts from the demonic wing clan attacking, that shouldn't be the case. Her soul is sealed. Mo Tianji won't be able to sense her. The same goes for the other members of the demonic wing clan, the Grand Elder said. After the Grand Elder left, Knight Sorrow returned to the tent to think. He had to be careful because this matter was quite troublesome. Don't worry. It's not a big deal. We'll just keep an eye on her. The Golden Dragon King said. Lord Golden Dragon King, Jun Xuanji will be here later. After I talk to him, please pay attention to one thing for me. If he shows any signs of leaving without saying goodbye, then kill him on the spot. Knight Sorrow closed his eyes after saying this. Even if he was unwilling, he had to make some arrangements. He couldn't gamble with the fate of the 100 races in the celestial realm just because of his relationship with Jun Xuanji. Looking at Knight Sorrow, the Golden Dragon King nodded. In fact, he had already talked to the Grand Elder and made some arrangements. But now that Knight Sorrow had made such a decision, he was very pleased. A day later, the Grand Elder brought Jun Xuanji to the stronghold of Broken Mountain. Seeing Jun Xuanji, Knight Sorrow realized that Jun Xuanji had changed. His aura was much sharper. It wasn't just because his cultivation had increased, but also because his temperament had changed. Knight Sorrow, I'm back. Jun Xuanji looked at Knight Sorrow and said. Xuanji, are you still you? Knight Sorrow asked. I am. Jun Xuanji nodded. We're friends. I don't want to be deceived. If you're no longer you, then you can leave now. I, Knight Sorrow, guarantee that no one will stop you. No matter what happens in the future, even if you're Mo Tianji, please don't blaspheme the friendship between me and Jun Xuanji. Knight Sorrow said. Jun Xuanji shook his head and looked at Yi Shang with a soft gaze. I thank you for everything you've done for me. If it weren't for your persistence, I might have been killed already. I would never lie to you. I would never let you down. I would never let you down. Okay. Let's go and drink. Knight Sorrow put his arm around Jun Xuanji's shoulder and entered the tent. The Golden Dragon King and the Grand Elder looked at each other. They felt a lot more at ease because they could confirm that Jun Xuanji's words came from the bottom of his heart. They were also gratified because they had made the right move. K, a forever free, read * novels. The Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King arrived at the Golden Dragon King's tent. If Jun Xuanji's soul has been corroded, then with Knight Sorrow's promise, we can't do anything. With Mo Tianji's cunning, she should have left. If she didn't leave, then it means that she has withstood the impact of Mo Tianji's memories, the Grand Elder said. In the exchange just now, Knight Sorrow was a little impulsive, but there's nothing wrong with that. If she leaves, we'll just have one more opponent. It's better than having one more potential threat. This is a very smart way to deal with it, the Golden Dragon King said. In Knight Sorrow's tent, Knight Sorrow and Jun Xuanji were drinking. Knight Sorrow, you've become haggard. You don't have to worry about me. I've profited this time. I've obtained 8 years of Mo Tianji's cultivation experience and insights. But emotionally, I'm still Jun Xuanji. Haggard? I don't know, but I'm very worried. It can't even be described as worried. I'm a little scared. I'm not afraid of having one more opponent. No matter how many opponents and enemies there are, I, Knight Sorrow, will be able to hold on and fight. I'm just afraid of losing you as a friend, Knight Sorrow said. Chapter 2054. Night Sorrow hesitated for a moment before saying, We've known each other for a long time. You know what kind of person I am. I don't treat relationships as child's play. I have 5 wives now, but I've never thought of this. I don't want my relationships to become impure. As for pushing you to Qinglin, I really didn't. I just want you to live a good life. Jun Xuanji said, I can understand you. I know the situation between you and your wives. The first one you liked was Chuyu. You have some feelings for the 2 senior sisters, mainly because of your master. Shueshi was there because of some unexpected reasons. Datura and Lin Piaomiao were fought over by them. Actually, what I want is for the people around me to be happy. Night Sorrow spoke his mind. That's what you've been doing all this time. You've done very well. Anyone by your side will feel at ease. Actually, when I found out that I was Mo Tianji's reincarnation, I wanted to talk to you about marriage because marriage can solve many problems. It can directly destroy all the connections in fate. The only person I'm willing to marry is you, Jun Xuanji said softly. I'm sorry. Night Sorrow shook his head. You don't need to say those words to anyone. You didn't need to in the past, and you won't need to in the future. Mo Tianji still has her memories. If one day my will wavers and I want to be the awe-inspiring Mo Tianji, I will ask you to get married, Jun Xuanji said. Looking at Jun Xuanji, Night Sorrow didn't know how to reply. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something, but he felt that it wouldn't be appropriate. Alright, looking at you like this, I'm angry. Could it be that you don't care about me? I'm angry. If you want to cultivate, I want this place. Jun Xuanji glared at Night Sorrow and chased him away. Night Sorrow smiled awkwardly and left the tent. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow went to Datura's tent. Night Sorrow naturally wouldn't tell anyone about his conversation with Jun Xuanji. It was Jun Xuanji's secret. Night Sorrow, I heard your conversation, Datura said to Night Sorrow. Wait a moment. Let me organize my thoughts before I tell you about this. Yi Shang looked at Mandela. He didn't know how to explain because he couldn't. Ha! Why are you so nervous? Do you think we don't know who you are? Datura said with a smile. Night Sorrow nodded. He was most gratified that his wives were very reasonable. No matter what happened, they would not make trouble with him. They were very understanding. Mo Tianji received the news of the meeting of heroes in a small city within the Mishti dynasty. Night Sorrow, you've risen so quickly. You've ruined my plans time and time again. One day, I'll make you beg for death. Mo Tianji was angry when she thought of Night Sorrow. However, Mo Tianji knew that Night Sorrow was very difficult to deal with. Night Sorrow's strength had risen too quickly. It would be difficult for her to catch up with Night Sorrow. Her only advantage was that she had no bottlenecks before reaching the tribulation of the 7 emperors. Looking at her body, Mo Tianji felt fortunate. This was because Zhu Jiuyun's doppelganger was very talented. It had good compatibility with various attributes and did not reject the attributes that she had mastered. A cultivator's attributes were determined by their soul and body. Mo Tianji's soul possessed several attributes. If the body did not reject it, then there would be no problem in cultivating and comprehending the attributes. Also, after knowing that Night Sorrow's Heaven Wasteland army belonged to the Reincarnation Island, Mo Tianji knew that the Reincarnation Island had been occupied by the Celestial Realm's 100 races. It would be impossible for the Heaven Wasteland demon-winged race to use the Reincarnation Island to attack the Celestial Realm. Now that she was trapped in the Celestial Realm, she could only develop on her own. Taking a deep breath, Mo Tianji left and returned to the small courtyard that she had bought. She entered the spatial treasure and began cultivating. With 8 eras and close to 9 eras of lifespan, Mo Tianji knew that strength was the greatest reliance and the ability to solve problems. After Jun Xuanji's matter came to an end, Night Sorrow began to consider undergoing the tribulation. Half a year ago, his destruction attribute had reached the level of the Emperor Tribulation. Later, after half a year of time acceleration in the real world, Night Sorrow's spacetime attribute had also reached the level of the Emperor Tribulation. Even his void attribute had caught up. However, his limitless attribute's improvement was extremely slow. Knowing that the highest level of any attribute was his own cultivation level, Night Sorrow planned to undergo the tribulation of all the attributes that could undergo the Emperor Tribulation. He would cultivate all of them at the same time and not leave any of them behind. In order not to worry others, Night Sorrow did not tell anyone about the Emperor Tribulation. In the center of the void whirlpool, he asked Little Purple to protect him and began to undergo the tribulation. As the destruction attribute's momentum of heaven and earth was released, the heavenly law's 9 Emperor Tribulations Thunder Tribulation was produced. It was the Destruction Thunder Tribulation. Night Sorrow had endured the Thunder Tribulation many times in the past. His destruction attribute came from the Thunder Tribulation. The Destruction Thunder Tribulation's wild explosions did not threaten Night Sorrow. Forever Phase CA/W Speak 7 with the virtuous immortal body, the Destruction Thunder Tribulation could not even harm Night Sorrow. Instead, it became the nourishment for Night Sorrow's destruction attribute cultivation. Feeling that he did not consume any energy, Night Sorrow immediately activated the spacetime attribute Emperor Tribulation and rushed through the void attribute Emperor Tribulation. After passing one of the 9 heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulations, Night Sorrow felt that the space containing energy in his body had increased by a lot. After all, he had advanced by a small level. After successfully passing the Emperor Tribulation, Night Sorrow's main body began to cultivate again. After passing the heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulation's attribute, it was relatively easier for him to comprehend the power of heaven and earth. When the Golden Dragon King and the Grand Elder saw Night Sorrow, both of them were very surprised. They had not seen each other for a few days and Night Sorrow had already passed the first Emperor Tribulation. "Oh, you rascal, why didn't you say anything? This is considered a joyous occasion," the Grand Elder said with a smile. "It's just passing one tribulation. It's nothing. There's still a long way to go in the future," Night Sorrow said. "So low-key, but in reality, low-key is the most shameless way to show off," the Golden Dragon King muttered. Night Sorrow laughed. The Golden Dragon King chatted like this because he did not treat him as an outsider. You have the right to show off. After passing the Emperor Tribulation, Night Sorrow, you can study the sword Tao that your master left behind. That is the best sword Tao in the celestial realm. Many cultivators dream of it, but you suppressed it and did not study it for hundreds of years. Of course, you slept for hundreds of years, the Grand Elder said. Yes. I have let my master down. However, this is something that cannot be helped. If my master was still alive, he might not have taken me in as a disciple. After all, I don't cultivate the sword Tao, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 2055. Once my cultivation stabilizes, I will go and research it. Night Sorrow was also very interested in Yan Wushuang's sword Tao. However, he had just advanced and needed to stabilize his cultivation realm first. And take your time, the Grand Elder nodded. Night Sorrow's rapid improvement had already exceeded his expectations. Night Sorrow's aura had changed. Some members of the God-slaying team had already sensed it. Although Night Sorrow had an impenetrable body, he had just advanced in his aura and aura would still be imperceptibly revealed. Grand Commander, have you passed the Heavenly Tao Emperor's calamity? Lin Chuan looked at Night Sorrow in astonishment. And, what do you think of our first commander and the God-slaying team? Night Sorrow looked at Lin Chuan and asked. He had high hopes for Lin Chuan. Lin Chuan's personality was more reserved, but he was ambitious and had the greatest potential in the heaven ranking. Of course, other than himself. Very good. I have traveled the celestial realm and have seen many training teams. However, none of them could compare with the first commander and the god-slaying team, especially the god-slaying team. Lin Chuan said. Seems like you admire the first commander and the god-slaying team. Then you are the same as everyone else. Alright, come find me later. I promise to help you break the extreme frost world. I will help you think of a solution. Knight Sorrow agreed to help Lin Chuan break the extreme frost world. Lin Chuan nodded. He knew that it was very difficult to beat Knight Sorrow even though he was a peak emperor and close to the heavenly Tao Emperor's calamity. This was because his understanding and comprehension of battle was much weaker than Knight Sorrow's. In layman's terms, his foundation were not as good as Knight Sorrow's. Knight Sorrow went to the other camps to check on Long Hao and Duan Chen-Shui. Seeing that everyone was doing well and had integrated into the team, Yi Shuang was at ease. Following this, Yi Shuang went to the Demon Mountain stronghold. Lin Yun's main body was in closed-door cultivation, while her clone and Nan Yong were guarding the stronghold. After walking around and seeing that everything was normal, Knight Sorrow returned to his tent on Broken Mountain. While Knight Sorrow was making tea with Wu Lingfei, Lin Chuan arrived. Sit. Knight Sorrow pointed at the seat opposite him. Grand Commander, I'm here to break through the Arctic world, Lin Chuan said after sitting down. Then I'll explain some things first. I have a very deep relationship with the Ice Phoenix race, so it's actually not appropriate for me to guide others to break through the world of extreme cold. However, since I've promised you, I'll help you do it. However, you have to promise me something, Knight Sorrow said. I understand what you're trying to say. If I obtain a way to break through the realm of extreme frost from you, I'll only break through Huang Jie's realm of extreme frost. I won't harm the Ice Phoenix clansmen, Lin Chuan said. Aunt Fei, what do you think? Knight Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. There's no problem with Lin Chuan's promise. The Ice Phoenix race's realm of extreme frost is extremely difficult to comprehend. However, everyone's comprehension is different. Huang Jia has only scratched the surface, Wu Lingfei said. Scratched the surface. Lin Chuan looked at Wu Lingfei in surprise. Yes. Although her talent is not bad, her bloodline limits her development. The realm of extreme frost she has comprehended is only ice. The true realm of extreme frost is not only ice, but also cutting, splitting, shaking, penetrating, and other effects, Wu Lingfei said. Grand Commander, this is... Lin Chuan looked at Wu Lingfei. He'd seen her a few times before, but he wasn't familiar with her. This is Aunt Fei, Empress Fei of the Ice Phoenix race. She's also the second golden phoenix in the history of the Ice Phoenix race, Knight Sorrow introduced. After hearing Knight Sorrow's introduction, Lin Chuan stood up and cupped his hands at Wu Lingfei. I'm very sorry. I only asked for a way to break through the realm of extreme frost to defeat Huang Jia. I have no other intentions, nor do I have any intention of targeting the Ice Phoenix race. I won't teach it to anyone else. Lin Chuan's cultivation was higher than Wu Lingfei's, but their statuses were different. Wu Lingfei was the patriarch of the divine beast race. It's nothing. Take a seat. Wu Lingfei shook her head. Then I'll tell you what you're lacking in my eyes. I'll tell you where the Western White Tiger kill needs to be improved. If the power of the technique increases, it won't only be effective against the realm of extreme frost, but it will also be a greater threat to other domains, Knight Sorrow said. Lin Chuan didn't reply. He just listened quietly. I don't know how you cultivated it in the past. The current flaw is that the technique isn't perfect. When you use the Western White Tiger kill, it's just a collision and cutting. However, the opponent's domain energy is flexible and has a high defense, so it becomes a collision of energy. It lacks technique. To put it simply, it's overbearing, but not delicate enough, Knight Sorrow said to Lin Chuan. I don't quite understand what Grand Commander means. Isn't being delicate a part of my personality? Lin Chuan asked. No. Look at this. Knight Sorrow raised a finger. Then, energy exploded from his finger. Shock force, wave force, penetration force, and even the folding force that he dabbled in later were all displayed. Lin Chuan looked at it and fell into deep thought. Your Western White Tiger kill is very strong, but it's only a collision. It lacks the ability to break the opponent's domain. Do you understand now? Knight Sorrow reminded Lin Chuan again. Lin Chuan thanks Grand Commander. Lin Chuan stood up and bowed to Knight Sorrow. You don't have to be so polite. Since you've come to the First Territory and acknowledged the First Territory, then we'll be brothers who will fight side by side in the future, Knight Sorrow said. Don't worry, Your Majesty. Lin Chuan will remember his promise, Lin Chuan promised. Lin Chuan promised again. He didn't want Wu Lingfei to have other thoughts because of this and make everyone unhappy. Lin Chuan, think about it yourself. I can only give you an idea. As for how far you can go, it's up to you. Actually, I don't quite understand. You've cultivated very well and profound techniques, but you haven't touched on the easier ones. It's not just you. I've noticed that many cultivators are the same, Knight Sorrow said. Cool Craftsman X Net 5 Forever 3 Long Z Exempt, B Watch, Q Little CC said. Knight Sorrow, this is because you don't understand the divine beasts. Divine beasts born in the ancestral land will grow faster in their ancestral land. Because their growth speed is too fast, they'll neglect the transition period in the early stages. In a short time, they'll enter the Saint tier and Monarch tier and begin to come in contact with the laws of nature and the will of heaven and earth. That's why they haven't touched on certain things, Wu Lingfei explained to Knight Sorrow. After Lin Chuan left, Knight Sorrow and Wu Lingfei drank tea. Auntie Fei, I didn't mean to break through the extreme cold world. You're worried about hurting me. You're overthinking it. I've also cultivated the extreme cold world. It's completely different from Huangjia. Unless your cultivation is much higher than mine, you won't be able to break through it, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Knight Sorrow was relieved. This way, he could stabilize his cultivation. Chapter 2056. Wait until my cultivation stabilizes, then I will study it. Knight Sorrow was also very interested in Yan Wushuang's sword Dao. However, he had just advanced and needed to stabilize his cultivation realm first. And, take your time. The Grand Elder nodded. Knight Sorrow's rapid improvement had already exceeded his expectations. Knight Sorrow's aura had changed. Some members of the God-slaying team had already sensed it. Although Knight Sorrow had an impenetrable body, he had just advanced in his aura and aura would still be imperceptibly revealed. Grand Commander, did you pass the Heavenly Tao Emperor Calamity? Lin Chuan looked at Knight Sorrow in astonishment. And, what do you think of our first commander and the God-slaying team? Knight Sorrow looked at Lin Chuan and asked. He thought highly of Lin Chuan. Lin Chuan's personality was more introverted, but he was ambitious and had the greatest potential in the heaven ranking. Of course, other than himself. Very good. I have traveled the celestial realm and have seen many training teams. However, none of them could compare with the first commander and the God-slaying team, especially the God-slaying team. Lin Chuan said. Seems like you admire the first commander and the God-slaying team. Then you are the same as everyone else. Alright, come find me later. I promise to help you break the extreme frost world. I will help you think of a solution. Night Sorrow agreed to help Lin Chuan break the extreme frost world. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Lin Chuan nodded. He knew that it was very difficult to beat Night Sorrow even though he was a peak emperor and close to the heavenly Tao Emperor Calamity. This was because his understanding and comprehension of battle was much worse than Night Sorrow's. In layman's terms, his foundation were not as good as Night Sorrow's. Night Sorrow went to the other camps to check on Long Hao and Duan Chen-Shui. Seeing that everyone was doing well and had integrated into the team, Yi Shuang was at ease. Following this, Yi Shuang went to the Demon Mountain stronghold. Lin Yun's main body was in closed-door cultivation, while her clone and Nan Yong were guarding the stronghold. After walking around and seeing that everything was normal, Night Sorrow returned to his tent on Broken Mountain. While Night Sorrow was making tea with Wu Lingfei, Lin Chuan arrived. Sit. Night Sorrow pointed at the seat opposite him. Grand Commander, I'm here to break through the Arctic world, Lin Chuan said after sitting down. Then I'll explain the situation first. I have a very deep relationship with the Ice Phoenix race, so it's actually not appropriate for me to guide others to break through the world of extreme cold. However, since I've promised you, I'll help you do it. However, you have to promise me something, Night Sorrow said. I understand what you mean, Great Commander. If I obtain the method to break through the realm of extreme frost, I will only break through Huang Jie's realm of extreme frost. I will not harm the Ice Phoenix clansmen, Lin Chuan said. Aunt Fei, what do you think? Night Sorrow looked at Wu Lingfei and asked. Lin Chuan's promise is not a problem. The Ice Phoenix race's realm of extreme frost is extremely difficult to comprehend. However, everyone's comprehension is different. Huang Jia has only scratched the surface, Wu Lingfei said. Scratched the surface. Lin Chuan looked at Wu Lingfei with surprise. Yes. Although her talent is not bad, her bloodline limits her development. The realm of extreme frost she has comprehended is only freezing. The orthodox realm of extreme frost is not only freezing, but also cutting, splitting, shaking, penetrating, and other effects, Wu Lingfei said. Grand Commander, this is... Lin Chuan looked at Wu Lingfei. He had seen her a few times before, but he wasn't familiar with her. This is Aunt Fei, Empress Fei of the Ice Phoenix race. She is also the second golden phoenix in the history of the Ice Phoenix race, Night Sorrow introduced. After hearing Night Sorrow's introduction, Lin Chuan stood up and cupped his hands at Wu Lingfei. I'm very sorry. I only asked for the method to break through the realm of extreme frost to defeat Huang Jia. I have no other intentions, nor do I have any intention of targeting the Ice Phoenix race. I won't teach it to anyone else. Lin Chuan's cultivation was higher than Wu Lingfei's, but their statuses were different. Wu Lingfei was the patriarch of the divine beast race. It's nothing. Have a seat. Wu Lingfei shook her head. Then I'll tell you what you're lacking in my eyes. I'll tell you where the Western White Tiger kill needs to be improved. If the power of the technique increases, it won't only be effective against the realm of extreme frost, but it will also be a greater threat to other domains, Night Sorrow said. Lin Chuan didn't reply. He just listened quietly. I don't know how you cultivated it in the past. The current flaw is that the technique isn't perfect. When you use the Western White Tiger kill, it's a collision and cutting attack. However, the opponent's domain energy is flexible and has high defense. It becomes a collision of energy. It lacks technique. To put it simply, it's overbearing but not delicate enough, Night Sorrow said to Lin Chuan. I don't understand what Grand Commander means. Isn't being delicate a part of my personality? Lin Chuan asked. No, look at this. Night Sorrow raised a finger. Then, energy exploded from his finger. Shock force, wave force, penetration force, and even folding force, which he dabbled in later on, were all displayed. Lin Chuan looked at it and fell into deep thought. Your Western White Tiger kill is very strong, but it's only an impact. It lacks the ability to disintegrate the opponent's domain. Do you understand now? Knight Sorrow reminded Lin Chuan again. Lin Chuan thanks Grand Commander. Lin Chuan stood up and bowed to Knight Sorrow. You don't have to be so polite. Since you've come to the First Territory and acknowledged it, we'll be brothers who will fight side by side in the future, Knight Sorrow said. Don't worry, Your Majesty. Lin Chuan will remember his promise, Lin Chuan promised. Lin Chuan promised again. He didn't want Wu Lingfei to have other thoughts and make everyone unhappy. Alright, Lin Chuan. I can only give you an idea. As for how far you can go, that's up to you. Actually, I don't really understand. You're good at cultivating the profound things, but you haven't touched the easier things. It's not just you. I've noticed that many cultivators are like this, said Yishan. You're not the only one. I've noticed that many cultivators are like this. Knight Sorrow, this is because you don't understand the divine beasts. Divine beasts born in their ancestral lands will grow faster in their ancestral lands. Because their growth speed is too fast, they'll neglect the transition period in their early stages. In a short time, they'll enter the Saint tier and Monarch tier and begin to come in contact with the will of heaven and earth. That's why they haven't touched on certain things, Wu Lingfei explained to Knight Sorrow. After Lin Chuan left, Knight Sorrow and Wu Lingfei drank tea. Auntie Fei, I didn't mean to break through the Arctic domain. You're worried that it'll hurt me. You're overthinking. I've also cultivated the Arctic domain. It's completely different from Huangjia. Unless your cultivation is much higher than mine, you won't be able to break through it, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Hearing Wu Lingfei's words, Knight Sorrow was relieved. This way, he could stabilize his cultivation. Half a month later, Knight Sorrow felt that his cultivation had stabilized. He took out the book that Yen Wushuang had given him. It was the Taboo Book, the Taboo Sword Dao. Chapter 2057. Everyone in the Reincarnation Island knew about Knight Sorrow's hard work. In order not to be left behind by Knight Sorrow, they didn't just watch Knight Sorrow's battles in the future. Long Hao, Duan Qianshui, and Lin Chuan weren't stingy with their pointers to the soldiers and members of the God-slaying team. They wanted everyone to improve together. This made the Grand Elder feel very gratified. This was because a team like this was a truly harmonious team with a core spirit. Update: In addition, Jun Xuanji and Zhu Jiuyun also made the Grand Elder feel very assured. Both of them were in good condition and were very positive. They didn't have any negative aura. Lin Chuan's mentality had also changed. Originally, he wanted to challenge Wang Jia before undergoing the Heavenly Law Emperor's tribulation. Later on, he felt that there was no difference between winning and not winning. In addition, within 1,000,000 years, before the next meeting of heroes, the current lower ranking on the heaven ranking could challenge the higher ranking. This was within the rules. The Emperor's tribulation of the Heavenly Law Emperor's tribulation wasn't difficult for Lin Chuan. He also successfully passed it. Jun Xuanji smashed a teacup. This made Zhu Jiuyun and Datura, who were not far from her tent, rush to her tent. "What's wrong with you?" asked Datura. "Nothing. I just feel a little uneasy and unhappy." "It has nothing to do with that," said Jun Xuanji. She was referring to the fact that Imo Tianji's memories didn't affect her. "If you're unhappy, why don't you tell us?" Zhu Jiuyun didn't understand. An Emperor Realm cultivator's state of mind was extremely high. They wouldn't feel unhappy for no reason. Jun Xuanji didn't say anything because there were some things she didn't want to say. She was unhappy because Knight Sorrow disappeared after she said those things. He went straight to the peak of the broken sky mountain to cultivate and didn't appear again. He was obviously avoiding her. Although Jun Xuanji knew what kind of person Night Sorrow was and what kind of attitude he had toward Night Sorrow, this situation still aroused her emotions. After sending off Zhu Jiuyun and Datura, Jun Xuanji suddenly smiled because he understood some things. She had feelings, she had truly fallen in love with someone else. Because of this, the emotional impact in Mo Tianji's memories had been greatly reduced. It could even be said that it was almost negligible. This was something that she didn't expect before. Jun Xuanji could also understand why. Mo Tianji's heart was emotionless, which conflicted with her current situation. She had emotions in her heart, which gave her the foundation to fight against the emotions in Mo Tianji's memories. Although she understood, Jun Xuanji was still very angry because Night Sorrow was running away. She had Night Sorrow in her heart, but she didn't have to marry Night Sorrow. In fact, Night Sorrow really didn't think about this problem. His mind was completely focused on cultivation. His true body was cultivating the momentum of heaven and earth, while his avatar was completely immersed in cultivating the heavenly sword art. The heavenly sword art was not so much a sword art as it was a great Tao. Not only sword cultivators, other cultivators could also cultivate it. Of course, it was extremely difficult and the success rate of cultivation was extremely low. Days passed in this state. Of course, this was also the case for countless years in the past. After all, war was relatively rare. Only 1 or 2 great wars could happen in an epoch. Night Sorrow had a lot of wars in the past, but it was also a coincidence that it was a war period. Night Sorrow was more engrossed in cultivation, but there were also people who were angry. For example, Mo Tianji and Jun Xuanji, these 2 women who were deeply involved in fate, were very angry at Night Sorrow. However, the reason for their anger was as different as heaven and earth. Mo Tianji couldn't wait to strangle Night Sorrow to death. Night Sorrow's appearance had almost destroyed her path to rise. Even if her current condition was not bad, she knew how difficult it was to recover to the peak. Therefore, not to mention how to fight Night Sorrow in the future, even if they didn't meet, Mo Tianji would still curse Night Sorrow in her heart. Jun Xuanji was angry at Night Sorrow for not meeting. She didn't think it was that bad. She didn't think that Night Sorrow would compete with her over such a trivial matter. She couldn't understand why Night Sorrow's true body and avatar had disappeared. 3 years later, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion once. He walked around the god-slaying team to take a look before leaving again. He wanted to see how his brothers were doing before facing the Emperor Tribulation. As a result, Jun Xuanji, who had originally planned to throw a tantrum at Yi Shang, didn't have the chance to do so. After Yi Shang returned from the mountain peak, the first thing he did was pay his respects to the Great Elder and the Golden Dragon King. After that, he walked around the 2 strongholds before spending the night with his wives. During this time, Jun Xuanji naturally couldn't be disturbed. By the time she could, Yi Shang had already left the camp. In 3 years, Night Sorrow's void attribute had reached 92%. At a critical point, if he didn't face the Emperor Tribulation, his comprehension speed would decrease. Naturally, he wouldn't suppress it. This was his awareness. Some young cultivators wouldn't face the Emperor Tribulation in advance even if their cultivation had reached a critical point. This was equivalent to shortening their lifespan. Taking the initiative to face the Emperor Tribulation was fighting against the heavenly Tao in advance. In the past, proud people like Lin Piaomiao and the Great Demon King didn't face the Emperor Tribulation in advance. They used time as the benchmark. This was because the stronger one was, the easier it was to face the Emperor Tribulation. There was no danger in facing the Emperor Tribulation. Later on, because there were many battles and they needed strength, they went to face the Heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulation. Next, Night Sorrow passed the 2nd level of the Heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulation with the Destruction Attribute and Spacetime Attribute. The Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King weren't seen usually. They also needed to cultivate and seek enlightenment and breakthroughs. Although there was no one to supervise or monitor them, the members of the Samsara Island cultivated very hard. None of them slacked off. This was especially true for the members of the God-slaying team. While their true bodies were cultivating, their clones were not idle either. They were either sparring or going out to train. Because there were almost no more dragon-headed and snake-headed people on Reincarnation Island, the God-slaying team's clones would go to the dangerous areas of the celestial realm to train every once in a while. They needed to improve because Night Sorrow gave them 50 years before they became emperors. After 50 years, they would have to leave the God-slaying team if they didn't become emperors. This was something the God-slaying team members didn't want to face, including Yang Lei, Aoi, and Sikong Chiyu. When the God-slaying team went out to train, Lin Chuan and Lin Yun would follow them. The two of them were Night Sorrow's friends. Naturally, they didn't want anything to happen to the God-slaying team. Time was slipping away in this state. The Golden Dragon King and the Grand Elder appeared and said as they watched the God-slaying team leave, "Isn't Night Sorrow a little too harsh on them?" "It's a little harsh, but there's nothing wrong with being harsh on them." Night Sorrow gave them the conditions to rise. He gave them the conditions to nurture the younger generation that surpassed any major faction in the celestial realm. In addition, it's the time when the new and old supreme worlds are changing. They have the fate of two worlds on them. As long as they work hard, they will have a chance, the Grand Elder said. Their lifespans aren't long. If they can fulfill Night Sorrow's requirements, they will become emperors in 1,000 years. Any one of them will be incredible, the Golden Dragon King said. Chapter 2058. At the peak of Broken Sky Mountain, Yi Shang was feeling the nature of the limitless energy. He cultivated the Heavenly Guide sword art. It should be said that he used the Heavenly Guide sword art to cultivate the Spear Tao to draw the limitless energy into his body. Bit by bit, he improved his mastery of the Absolute Art. Night Sorrow was using his doppelganger to strengthen the Heavenly Sword Art. His main body was enjoying the results of his doppelganger's cultivation, drawing the infinite energy into his body. He then analyzed it and studied the power of heaven and earth that the infinite energy contained. In the blink of an eye, 13 years had passed. On this day, Night Sorrow's doppelganger was patrolling the stronghold and was caught by the Grand Elder. "It's time for you to stop. Although it's every cultivator's dream to cultivate at a high speed, you can't neglect your foundation and state of mind. Look at your cultivation in these 10 years. How many levels have you advanced?" The Great Elder didn't want Yi Shang to continue cultivating. He was worried that Yi Shang's path would be problematic. For the past 10 years, Night Sorrow had patrolled the stronghold before undergoing his tribulation. In 13 years, Night Sorrow had come out of seclusion 5 times. He was now at the peak of the 5 Emperor tribulations of the Heavenly Tao. After patrolling the stronghold, he would go into seclusion to undergo his tribulation. "Grand Elder, my state of mind and foundation do not seem to be a problem," Night Sorrow said. "This is not a problem of feeling. It is better to be steady. This king is afraid of you cultivating like this. I can still look at you as a junior now. Who knows how long it will take before I have to change the way I look at you." The Golden Dragon King looked at Night Sorrow and shook his head. "For the next 2 years, neither your true body nor your doppelganger will be able to cultivate in seclusion. Even though you've grounded yourself, you can still wander around Samsara Island. You can also arrange for people to bring your family over," said the Great Elder. "All right." Night Sorrow nodded. He knew he had no problem, but he could not reject the kindness of an elder. "That's right. A minor era lasts for 10 billion years, while a major era lasts for 100 billion years. If you can catch the tail of this major era, it will be enough for you to rise up." The Grand Elder patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. Because of the Grand Elder's instructions, Night Sorrow's main body also returned from the void vortex. At this time, Night Sorrow was at the peak of the 5 tribulations of the Heavenly Tao Emperor's tribulation. His aura and aura were very strong. Even the leakless body could not suppress it. It wasn't that the seamless body wasn't domineering enough, but that Night Sorrow's strength and realm had increased too quickly. He couldn't control his aura perfectly. When Night Sorrow came out of seclusion, the members of the God-slaying team naturally gathered together to celebrate. It had been a while since they had gathered together. Nan Liue brought her spatial treasure to the God capital to get some food and drinks. The reincarnation island no longer had the dragon-headed and snake-headed people, but there were still wild beasts without cultivation. Tianyu went to catch 2 and roasted them. Tianyu, if you believe me, quickly go and catch 2 more prey. There will be more wolves later. Night Sorrow said with a smile. It was impossible for only a few dozen members of the God-slaying team to drink in the stronghold. That was the truth. The other 3 generals were all here. Even Nan Yong and Lin Yun's clones were guarding the Demon Mountain stronghold. Their main bodies were also at the Broken Sky Mountain stronghold. How rare. It's actually the Great Commander's main body that came back this time. Nan Yong said. You guys have to learn from your Great Commander's tenacity and ruthlessness. If I didn't stop him, would he have come back? The Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King came out of the tent. Night Sorrow stood up and gave his seat to the Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King. No one said anything. In fact, everyone was working very hard, but it was too difficult to keep up with Night Sorrow's rhythm. Being his brothers was stressful. Don't think about it. Don't think too much about it. I want you to reach the D-Chi layer within 50 years. Of course, that's putting pressure on you, but pressure gives you motivation. I hope that everyone can survive the upcoming battles. If you can't break through to the D-Chi layer, go back to Xingyue City and cultivate slowly. When you're ready, come back, said Yishan. This was a rather heavy topic because entering the Emperor realm wasn't that easy. Believe me, you can do it. If you need any help, I'm willing to do it. Night Sorrow looked at everyone and said. We all understand you, and no one will blame you. We're all brothers who have gone through life and death together. If we can't enter the Emperor realm by the time the deadline comes, then we'll return to our world and open a restaurant. This way, we'll have a place to drink in the future. Ho Jian looked at his wife and said. Junior brother, don't worry. We're all mentally prepared. We're also confident that we can enter the Emperor realm within 50 years. Guanyi looked at Night Sorrow and said. Night Sorrow's 2 senior brothers were in the God-slaying team, but Mo Chen was already a half-step emperor. It was only a matter of time before he entered the Emperor realm. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't want to set a time limit of 50 years, but the future battles were very cruel. He had to make some decisions. They drank for an entire night. At dawn, Jun Xuanji, who had sobered up, wanted to talk to Night Sorrow. However, Night Sorrow disappeared again. He had brought his wives, who had come with their original bodies, and left the camp. Reincarnation Island's environment was terrible, but there were still some lakes on the island. The scenery was quite good. After knowing that Night Sorrow had disappeared, Jun Xuanji was furious. He felt that Night Sorrow was hiding. Actually, Night Sorrow didn't think so. He had already forgotten about this matter. Just like Lin Jingyi, he felt that he owed his wife and wanted to accompany her to travel. When he wasn't cultivating, he wanted to leave time for his family. Yi Xiaoluo and Yi Yujun also stayed on Reincarnation Island. They were with the God-slaying team. Some of the God-slaying team members' cultivations were inferior to theirs, but they were very respectful to the God-slaying team members. They were all uncles and uncles. Moreover, they often cultivated with Long Jin, Tianyu, and the others. Lin Chuan was also willing to give them pointers. Uncle Chuan, what's my father's cultivation now? Yi Xiaoluo couldn't suppress his curiosity. A few years ago, I could still see your father's cultivation. Now, I can't. He should be at the 5 tribulations of the heavenly law. However, your father's strength can't be measured by cultivation, Lin Chuan said. Bullshit. Jun Xuanji cursed angrily after hearing Lin Chuan and the others' conversation. He then turned and returned to his tent. Uncle Long, Uncle Yu, what's going on? Yi Xiaoluo was a little stunned. He had never heard of anyone cursing Night Sorrow in front of the god-slaying team members. Yeah. What's going on? Long Jin looked at Tianyu. You're asking me. Who am I supposed to ask? Look at that expression. It's like he's not satisfied. Tianyu muttered. Go to hell. A teapot flew through the gap in the tent's door towards Tianyu's face. Tianyu jumped and dodged. Something's wrong. Long Jin and Tianyu had both left. They couldn't defend Jun Xuanji. Jun Xuanji was Night Sorrow's friend, their friend, and one of the core members of the 9 Domains world. Chapter 2059. I don't think so. A war between our families. Second brother, you should know that my mother isn't a pushover. Aunt Xian isn't easy to talk to either. Of course, everything is decided by father. We are children. Children don't need to care about some things, Yi Xiaoluo said. Yi Xiaoluo and Yi Yujun left. The two of them didn't dare to offend Jun Xuanji. They also called Jun Xuanji Aunt Jun. Night Sorrow brought his wives to a lake on the island to camp. Night Sorrow, the Grand Elder is right. High-speed cultivation requires a period of time. Even if you don't meet a bottleneck, you need to stop and calm your mind. Lin Piaomiao poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow after making tea. I know. Some things can't be rushed. Plus, everything is going well, Night Sorrow said. What's going on? Jay, you have been cultivating the lost art left by Master Wushuang all these years. How is it now? Datura asked. There are some gains, but that lost skill is too profound. It is not something that can be cultivated in a short period of time. Master Wushuang also cultivated it for a long time before he was able to cultivate it, Yi Shang said. A heaven-defying lost art is incomparably profound. How can it be so easy to cultivate? Take it slow. Even the Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King are afraid of your cultivation speed. It seems that taking it slow is nothing, Sikong Chuyu said. You all use swords. Later, I will discuss with Martial Uncle. If he doesn't object, you can all cultivate the heavenly sword art, Night Sorrow said. 13. Even you find it difficult to cultivate. How can we cultivate it? Forget it. Don't make it difficult for you if we can't cultivate it, Yang Lei said. Night Sorrow shook his head. He had his own thoughts about some things. He knew King Yowu's breadth of mind. Asking was out of respect. By the way, I haven't seen Martial Uncle for a long time. I wonder how long you've been in seclusion. Because of Night Sorrow, Lin Piaomiao and King Yowu were very familiar with each other. Uncle Master wants to break through to a new realm. We don't know what level they are at. I guess it will take a long time for them to go into seclusion. Night Sorrow shook his head. He wasn't very clear about King Yowu's matters. Night Sorrow and his wives strolled around Samsara Island. As for the nasty Nirvana storm maelstrom, it didn't affect Night Sorrow at all. The forbidden Samsara domain suppressed it. Currently, Night Sorrow's forbidden attribute, reincarnation, was already at the peak of the intermediate level. His limitless attribute had already been cultivated to 60%. Just his limitless attribute alone was already at the peak of the limitless Emperor realm. He was just one step away from the Emperor realm. Of course, it was very difficult to take this step for an attribute that was not his forte. Countless emperors had spent countless years trying to take this step. Knight Sorrow was also aware of his own situation. If the heavenly sword art didn't appear, his chances of taking this step would be very slim. Now, he had a chance, but he still had to study and cultivate it. It's rare for us to be together as a family. Knight Sorrow, you and Sister Xian have to work hard. Our family must prosper. Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. It's difficult. I'm an Emperor Realm cultivator. Knight Sorrow is at the peak of the fifth tribulation. Plus, he cultivates his body. It won't be easy for him to have a descendant. Of course, if he does have a descendant, his talent will be unparalleled. Even the bloodline of a divine beast's descendant won't be comparable. Lin Piaomiao said. Difficult. Cultivation is even more difficult. Knight Sorrow is already at the Emperor realm of the heavenly Tao. How can having a child be harder than that? Yang Lei said with a smile. All right. You can even compare these two together. I'm really impressed. Lin Piaomiao shook her head helplessly. Aren't we sisters worried for you? Aoi said. We're all young. Take it slow. We'll have a child. We're already married. Why worry about not having a child? Don't tell me you're suspecting that there's something wrong with an Emperor Realm cultivator's body and that they can't have children. Lin Piaomiao said with a smile. I'm just worried that you June and the others will have a descendant that's older than yours. Isn't that awkward? Sikong Chuyu explained the reason for his worry. Ha! It's nothing. Let nature take its course. Knight Sorrow shook his head with a smile. Sometimes, things seem to be afraid of being talked about. A year after their journey, Lin Piaomiao discovered that a new life had been born in her body. This made her overjoyed. Although she said that she didn't care and that she could wait, she really hoped to have a child of her own with Yishang. Knight Sorrow was also very happy. He didn't care if he had one more or one less child. However, he didn't want Lin Piaomiao to have any regrets. The happy few stopped playing and returned to the encampment on Reincarnation Island. At the same time, they informed their parents in Sky City that the Yi clan was going to have a child. This was a big deal in the Yi clan. This also made Jun Xuanji, who was waiting for Knight Sorrow to return and wanted to mess with Knight Sorrow, give up. Messing with Knight Sorrow at this time wasn't something a smart person would do. After giving up the idea, Jun Xuanji congratulated Knight Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao. Knight Sorrow, what do you think? I let you take a break. Did you gain more than cultivating in seclusion? The Grand Elder was also very happy. He knew what the Yi clan of the Nine-Domain world was like. He was looking forward to the rise of the Yi clan of the Nine-Domain world. Ha! Thank you, Grand Elder. This gain is too great. It can be said that it made up for my and Piaomiao's regrets. Knight Sorrow's face was full of smiles. A year later, when the child is born, you can go into seclusion and cultivate. I won't care about you anymore. The Grand Elder nodded. The days were peaceful. Knight Sorrow stayed in the stronghold. While accompanying his wife, he also gave pointers to the cultivation of the god-slaying team members. He also taught his children in the stronghold. However, only Yi Yujun and Yi Xiaoluo were in the stronghold. Yi Lingxi, Yi Xiaolei, and Yi Qingyan were cultivating elsewhere. They were all trying to break through to the Emperor realm. As the days passed, Lin Piaomiao was getting closer and closer to giving birth. At this time, the Grand Elder suggested that Lin Piaomiao go to the divine capital and wait for the birth at Yawa Mountain. Grand Elder, I'm forbidden from leaving Reincarnation Island. Isn't that making me anxious? Hearing the Grand Elder's words, Night Sorrow was a bit anxious. Why are you so anxious? Is it a problem for an Emperor Tribulation cultivator to give birth? The Grand Elder glared at Night Sorrow. Are you stupid? Yawa Mountain is where the human race's dragon head is located. Your martial uncle is watching over that place and no one is allowed to get close. You're worried and unwilling to let your wife go. The Golden Dragon King shook his head. Chapter 2060. Exhaling, Night Sorrow activated 96% of his void attribute Heaven and Earth Grand Momentum. After the Heaven and Earth Law sensed Night Sorrow's aura, the Lightning Tribulation was formed and began to bombard Night Sorrow. With the virtuous immortal body protecting him, Night Sorrow brandished his Samsara halberd and clashed with the Lightning Tribulation. Night Sorrow was transcending the tribulation in his peak state. In addition, many of his attributes were saturated. The violent bombardment of the Lightning Tribulation did not hurt Night Sorrow. Instead, it made his aura soar. The Heavenly Tao Lightning Tribulation was extremely violent. The troops of the 3 divisions at Broken Mountain were alarmed. Everyone could even see Night Sorrow using his spear and fist techniques to clash with the Lightning Tribulation in the air. Long Jean, Brother 13 doesn't take the Lightning Tribulation seriously. From the looks of it, he seems to be excited, said Tianyu. The Heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulation is very violent and has destroyed many cultivators. However, those who are eliminated are cultivators with high cultivation and low abilities. In other words, those who do not have the combat strength to match their realm will die if they come into contact with the Heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulation. But what about your commander? His combat strength exceeds his realm. Therefore, he is qualified to clash with the Heavenly Tao Emperor Tribulation, said the Golden Dragon King. After transcending the Heavenly Tao's 6 tribulations with the Void attribute, Night Sorrow activated the Destruction attribute. Apart from the Limitless attribute, Night Sorrow's other 3 attributes advanced together. They were all at the peak of the Heavenly Tao 5 tribulations and could break through to the Heavenly Tao 6 tribulations. The high end of his attributes was also the difficult part for Night Sorrow to cultivate the Heavenly Sword Art. Yi Tianxin created the Heavenly Sword Art from the low level. She was of the Destruction attribute and also cultivated other general attributes. Her ultimate technique began to communicate with the energy of heaven and earth with the general attributes. However, Night Sorrow could not do this. Night Sorrow did not have any general attributes and directly cultivated from the high-level attributes. Therefore, it was more difficult. He started with the spatial attribute that he was more proficient in. Only then did he have some clues. Night Sorrow also didn't have the intention to cultivate the general attributes, because he didn't need it. He was not willing to do things that would waste time and neglect the essentials. He felt that even if it took a little effort, he had to walk this path. The middle stage of the Heavenly Sword technique was a high-level attribute that could attract the energy of heaven and earth. It was a path that he had to walk sooner or later. When Lin Piaomiao appeared at the stronghold of Broken Mountain on Reincarnation Island with the child in her arms, Night Sorrow's time and space attribute Lightning Tribulation was nearing its end. What is he doing? Lin Piaomiao looked at the baby in swaddling clothes and then looked at the peak of Broken Sky Mountain. He's so excited that he's bombarding the Heavenly Tao's tribulation lightning, said Sikong Chuyu with a smile. This little guy's eyes are really bright. The Grand Elder said as he looked at the child in Lin Piaomiao's arms. Innately opened meridians, rich bloodline energy, attributes. Elder Lin, this is a good seedling. The Golden Dragon was only halfway through his sentence when Night Sorrow returned. Night Sorrow's aura rippled as his eyes shone. He was truly in high spirits. Let me carry him. Night Sorrow laughed as he took the child in Lin Piaomiao's arms. Night Sorrow lowered his head to look at the child. The child chuckled and even reached out to grab Night Sorrow's chin. His small hands are strong. Night Sorrow looked at the child with a smile on his face. Name? Sikong Chuyu looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Name? I haven't thought of it yet. Night Sorrow was stunned. Think of it now. Lin Piao glared at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow laughed and began to think. When he turned his head to look at Broken Sky Mountain, he saw the half-moon rising from the mountain. He immediately turned his head and said, his arrival made up for my and Piao regrets. The moon waxes and wanes, but I hope I have no regrets in life. Let's call him Yi Shao Ke. Isn't Yiwok good? The Grand Elder asked in confusion. My father's generation was a generation without words. Besides, who can be without any regrets? Just a little less is enough. What do you think? Night Sorrow explained and looked at Lin Piao and his wives. It's all right. It has some artistic conception. Lin Piao nodded. Yes, it has some literary accomplishments. Datura also agreed with this name. Father taught me history and poetry in the past. Night Sorrow smiled and passed the child to Lin Piao. Congratulations, father, congratulations, auntie. Night Sorrow's children bowed to Night Sorrow and Lin Piao. Congratulations, Grand Commander. The soldiers and members of the God-slaying team in Broken Sky Mountain shouted. Night Sorrow waved his hand and used his energy to block the impact of the sound on the child. However, it was too late. However, Yi Shao Ke didn't cry or make a fuss. His eyes were filled with curiosity and he didn't show any signs of fear. Thank you for your kind intentions. We'll celebrate later. You didn't scare my son. Otherwise, you'll suffer. Night Sorrow tidied up his son's clothes and said. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation happy. Night Sorrow was too happy. He hoped that his family would be happy. His wives all had their own children. That way, he wouldn't have any regrets in life. Night Sorrow, who had a high alcohol tolerance, was knocked out by someone. After waking up, Night Sorrow had a slight hangover. He had to circulate his energy for a while to recover. He didn't even know how much alcohol he had drunk. Sister Xian'er, you'll have to work harder in the future. I'll have to go into seclusion later, Night Sorrow said. Go into seclusion. We'll take care of the child, Sikong Chuyu said while carrying Yi Shao Ke. Every time a child comes, my status in the family will drop a little. But it doesn't matter. Night Sorrow smiled at his wives and then left the campsite. His main body and avatar separated to cultivate. Half of the 30 years of confinement had passed. His cultivation had been successful in the past 15 years and he even had a child. Night Sorrow was very gratified, but he had a higher goal. He wanted to raise his cultivation to the Emperor Tribulation level during the 30 years of confinement. At that time, he could go to the Nirvana Ocean Bridge to cultivate his own force. There, his soul power had once spread into the void. Cultivating there was twice the result with half the effort. 3 years later, after 18 years of confinement, Night Sorrow cultivated to the 7th tribulation of the Heavenly Tao. 10 years later, Night Sorrow's 25th year of confinement, he raised his cultivation to the 8th tribulation of the Heavenly Tao. He also cultivated the Heavenly Sword technique to a high level. However, his comprehension of the peerless Heavenly Tao's force was still stuck at a bottleneck. Helpless, Night Sorrow planned to have some peace and quiet. In the past few years, he would first go through the tribulation and then return to the stronghold to rest. When he reached the periphery of the stronghold, his soul power probed the scene. Night Sorrow was a little conflicted because the scene was too unimaginable. Lin Chuan and Yi Shao Ke were peeing beside a mountain stream outside the stronghold. They were shouting loudly, competing to see who could pee further. After the two of them finished peeing, Night Sorrow rushed over and carried Yi Xiaokei back to the stronghold. Lin Chuan naturally followed. What's the matter? Why are you pulling such a long face? Lin Piaomiao appeared. Tell. What should he say? After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow turned around and pointed at Lin Chuan. Chapter 2061. It's nothing, you guys can chat. Lin Chuan cupped his hands towards Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao before turning to leave. He knew that Night Sorrow would be furious, and if he didn't leave, he would be punished. Xiaokei, tell mother what happened? Lin Piaomiao pulled her son to her side and asked. Xiaokei and Uncle Chuan had a pee contest to see who could pee further. It seems like father isn't very happy. Yi Xiaokei fixed his collar and said softly. Lin Chuan, you bastard. Lin Piaomiao also cursed, but Lin Chuan had already run away. It's nothing, children should grow up happily. However, Lin Chuan bullied our Xiaokei. This is too much. Yang Lei came out and pulled Yi Xiaokei to her side. That's true, growing up happily is necessary. Night Sorrow knew that the members of the stronghold all treated their children like treasures. Lin Chuan was playing with the child. One had to know that Lin Chuan usually taught Yi Xiaokei very seriously. Night Sorrow was very happy that he successfully passed the tribulation. Other than that, the family was very harmonious and his children were all growing up well. The Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King didn't appear, but the two of them were talking in a large tent at the edge of the stronghold. 30 years of confinement allowed Night Sorrow and Reincarnation Island to undergo a transformation. Is it a hero who creates the times, or the times create the heroes? The Golden Dragon King was somewhat emotional. The Golden Dragon race's long gene had developed well in the past 20 years. During the meeting of heroes, Long Jin was at the peak of the low-class emperor rank and was half a step into the middle-class emperor rank. After 20 years of bitter cultivation, he was now at the late stage of the middle-class emperor rank and was moving towards the peak of the emperor rank. Tianyu and the others were also developing rapidly. The descendants of several divine beast races were also rapidly rising. Other than that, a few members of the god-slaying team had also entered the emperor rank. Under Night Sorrow's high-pressure deadline, they all exploded with their potential. How should I say this? It's relative. Even without this turbulent period, with Night Sorrow's talent, incomparable tenacity, and perseverance, his rise was inevitable. Of course, his appearance at this time had also stirred up the situation between Heaven Wasteland and the Celestial Realm. If Night Sorrow had not been exiled to Heaven Wasteland and Yan Wushuang's soul had been defeated in the battle with Mo Tianji would have returned to the Demon Wing clan. Not to mention how much stronger she would have been one of the giants of the Demon Wing clan. In addition, the Human Emperor's seal will definitely fall into the hands of the Demon Wing clan, which will be a great blow to the fortune of the 100 clans of the Celestial Realm, the Grand Elder said. The Golden Dragon King thought about Night Sorrow's past and said, he brought back the Human Emperor's skeleton, took the Desolation Halberd, and stopped Mo Yutian's plan to take over the Reincarnation Sea. His contributions to the Celestial Realm are terrifying. There's a pile of external contributions, but what about internal contributions? His appearance stimulated the courage of the younger generation of the Celestial Realm and led a trend. The Humanitarian League under his command also cleaned up the pests in the Celestial Realm and set up a moral standard, the Grand Elder said. Then the Golden Dragon King and the Grand Elder discussed and predicted the future of the Reincarnation Island. First of all, after 30 years, Night Sorrow was likely to be an Emperor's Tribulation cultivator. With this cultivation level, he was qualified to be a law-enforcing elder in the Council of Elders. Young. Night Sorrow was young, but he had experience. The current law-enforcing elder could not compare to Night Sorrow in terms of contributions and strength of the 100 clans of the Celestial Realm. In addition, when the Reincarnation Island appeared, the 4 lists of the 100 clans of the celestial realm would be reshuffled. Whether it was the celestial list, terrestrial list, human list, or king list, the Reincarnation Island would set off a wave of impact. Then what should we do with Night Sorrow and the Reincarnation Island? The Golden Dragon King asked. What should we do? Let's not talk about this. Let the elders of the 100 clans talk about it themselves. They all know the title of Immortal Godly Emperor. Suppress it. If they dare, then we'll suppress them. The great elder smiled. The Golden Dragon King shook his head. He knew that when it came to Night Sorrow, as long as one was not an idiot, they would have a benchmark. Suppressing the human emperor would not do them any good. Another point was that Night Sorrow's connections were terrifying. Almost all the major mythological beast clans were friends with Night Sorrow. It was not the kind of superficial friendship, but true friendship. Night Sorrow was with his family and did not talk to Lin Chuan and the others about the child's education. Things like peeing were all for fun. In terms of principles, Lin Chuan and the others were very strong. What do you plan to do next? Let's rest for a while. Lin Piamiao asked. Night Sorrow shook his head. His original body wanted to break through to the next realm, and his clone wanted to cultivate the heavenly sword technique. Currently, the technique he cultivated could not be called the heavenly sword technique. The most suitable name was the limitless spear art. This was because Night Sorrow's direction of cultivation was the limitless attribute. Night Sorrow's goal in cultivating the limitless spear art was not to pursue combat power. He used this technique as a means to assist in his cultivation. He constantly understood the limitless attribute. This way, he would be able to cultivate the limitless attribute with twice the result with half the effort. Night Sorrow was very clear that his future combat power would depend on the level of the limitless attribute. In the combination of attributes, the lowest attribute realm determined the quality of the taboo attribute. After staying in the stronghold of Broken Mountain for a while, Night Sorrow went to the Demon Mountain area to take a look. His original body cultivated, and his clone in the stronghold, Nan Yong and Lin Yun accompanied Night Sorrow for a walk. After more than 20 years of operation, the stronghold of Demon Mountain was impregnable. This was because the elders had sent a formation master to set up a defense array around the stronghold. Nan Yong, Lin Yun, Alet Song Jin Gang and Duan Qianshui bring their troops over. You guys bring people to the stronghold of Broken Mountain to change the defense. Night Sorrow said. Commander, it's fine for us to stay here. There are no enemies, no pressure, no need to worry about changing the defense. Nan Yong expressed his opinion. It's better to change it. Our Reincarnation Island will fight side by side in the future. The friendship between brothers is very important. Your subordinates lack communication with the other 3. Without communication, there will be no affection. Who can block a blade for who? Night Sorrow did not accept Nan Yong's suggestion. Yes. This subordinate didn't think it through just now. When Song Jin Gang and Duan Qianshui arrive, this subordinate will bring our brothers to the stronghold of Broken Mountain. After hearing Night Sorrow's explanation, Nan Yong bowed and accepted the order. Night Sorrow patrolled the Demon Mountain territory. Inside Lin Piamiao's tent at the stronghold of Broken Mountain, Datura chased Night Sorrow out to play. She told her sisters about the conversation she heard between Night Sorrow and Jun Xuanji. There's such a thing. But it doesn't seem to have any effect on Night Sorrow. For more than 20 years, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion to accompany us or patrol the stronghold. Aoi said. Chapter 2062. That's right. Back then, Night Sorrow's attitude towards Lin Jingyi made me feel bad, but he still persevered. Looking at the situation this time, his attitude is still the same, Aoi said. Knight Sorrow has his own considerations, so we should try not to get involved in this matter. Moreover, Jun Xuanji's situation is different. If something really goes wrong, it will be a big problem. Simply speaking, it's a family matter of our Yi family, but more importantly, it concerns the situation of the celestial realm, Lin Piamio said. Be update H soon, Part 1, it hasn't been easy for her all these years. Let's see how she and Knight Sorrow deal with this. Sikong Chuyu nodded. She supported Lin Piamiao's idea. After walking around the stronghold of the Demon Mountain, Knight Sorrow returned to the camp of the Broken Sky Mountain. He called Song Jingang and Duan Qianxue to the command tent and told them about the change of guard. After receiving the order, Song Jingang and Duan Qianxue led their men and set off. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow went to the tent where the Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King were resting. The Heaven Wasteland army is being mobilized? Are you going to do something? The Grand Elder asked. Nothing much. The main thing is that I feel that the men of Samsara Island need to communicate with each other. This way, they will have a tacit understanding and brotherhood on the battlefield. So, I arranged for them to change the guard. Knight Sorrow explained the purpose of the change of guard. Very good. You've thought about it thoroughly. This is also an important reason why your men have such a strong ability to cooperate in battle. In the other armies of the Heaven Wasteland Army, conflicts are common, but it's different for your troops. Fights are common, but they're all so happy and harmonious. It's true brotherhood. The Great Elder nodded. He supported Yi Shang's idea. Knight Sorrow, this king has a say in the Council of Elders. Why don't I hand over the Heaven Wasteland army to you? The Golden Dragon King said. The management of the Heaven Wasteland city was the Council of Elders of the 100 races. The person with the highest status was the Grand Elder, followed by the law-enforcing elders, ordinary elders, commanders of the Heaven Wasteland army, and captains. There were also some top cultivators who did not usually show up, such as Tran Hung, Lord of Heavenly Wasteland City, Lord of Divine Capital, and the clan leader of the Divine Beast clan, who had a higher status. They were the guardians of Heavenly Wasteland City and the Grand Elders of the Council of Elders. Because they had their own clans to manage, they would not show up unless Heavenly Wasteland City and the 100 Races Alliance were in danger. Lord Golden Dragon King, let's not have such thoughts. I'm too busy. It's good enough that I can manage the Heaven Wasteland army well. Knight Sorrow hurriedly refused. Alright, I won't force you. The Heaven Wasteland army under your command is much stronger than before. This is already very good. The Grand Elder knew Knight Sorrow's character and knew that Knight Sorrow especially hated trouble. 8 Tribulations of the Heavenly Tao. Your confinement will end in 5 years. You might be able to break through to the next level in 5 years. After that, you'll have to slowly settle down. The Golden Dragon King said. Knight Sorrow nodded. He knew that he had underestimated the situation and had set his goal a little too high. It was harder to comprehend the momentum of the Heavenly Tao at the later stages. There was a gap between the 9 tribulations of the Heavenly Tao and the Imperial Tribulation that needed time to settle down. Yu Zhu and Rui Si had settled down for a long time. Lin Piaomiao and the Great Demon King did not undergo the Emperor Tribulation previously because they did not want to cause trouble in advance. In reality, they had been stuck at the 9 tribulations of the Heavenly Tao for a long time. After chatting with the Grand Elder and the Golden Dragon King for a while, Knight Sorrow left the tent and made arrangements for the people that Nan Yong and Lin Yun had brought back. While making arrangements, Knight Sorrow received a piece of good news. Yi Shaolei had successfully entered the Imperial Realm while cultivating in Starry Moon City. She was the 3rd child of Knight Sorrow to enter the Imperial Realm. These guys are faster than us. We're still stuck at the bottleneck and they've already rushed past it, Yang Lei said with a smile. As a mother, she was naturally happy that her daughter had entered the imperial realm. Qing Yan has a calm personality and her foundation is the most solid. It's only a matter of time before she enters the imperial realm. As for Lingxi, you don't have to worry, Knight Sorrow said to Sikong Chuyu and Xue Shi. He did not want them to feel pressured. They're your children. Of course, there's no problem, Sikong Chuyu nodded. After celebrating for his daughter, Knight Sorrow warned his family again that they were not allowed to change the area they were active in. They were not allowed to go through any trials. He was worried about Mo Tianji. Mo Tianji's disappearance was a huge hidden danger. In reality, Mo Tianji had always been annoyed. Her 2 moves did not respond. There was no news about Jun Xuanji's soul reincarnation. She could not even find out where he was. Moreover, after she possessed Zhu Jiuyun, she planned to control Zhu Jiuyun's original body as well. However, she did not sense anything. Every time she came out of the time acceleration magic treasure, Mo Tianji would pay attention to the news. Then, she would relax for a while before rapidly increasing her cultivation. The Demon Wing clan stabilized because Mo Yutian went into seclusion to break through to a new level. The 100 clans of the Celestial Realm did not do anything because King Yawo was in seclusion. The Zhuge realm, whose leader Zhuge Qian was killed by the Humanitarian League, did not do anything either. The Humanitarian League was already established. If the Zhuge realm did anything, they would face the merciless attacks of the Humanitarian League. In the Tianhuang mountain area, a miserable figure was flying continuously, avoiding the pursuit of the Demon Wing clan. He was Heaven's Horizon, who was exiled to Tianhuang. After being exiled, Heaven's Horizon was running for his life. He was not willing to accept that his position in the clan had been shaken. He was not willing to be suppressed by Knight Sorrow. In addition, being raped by a wild boar was an eternal humiliation in his heart. He wanted revenge. Run. As long as he was discovered by the Demon Wing clan, Heaven's Horizon would keep running. Fortunately, he was from the Green Rock clan and was good at speed. He was not caught or killed by the Demon Wing clan. He was tired. He could not hold on any longer. Looking at the Demon Wing clan behind him, Heaven's Horizon turned around. He did not plan to run anymore. Soon, Heaven's Horizon was surrounded by several Demon Wing clan emperors. I am a direct descendant of the Green Rock clan of the Celestial Realm. I want to see the upper echelons of your Demon Wing clan. Heaven's Horizon said. He wanted to find a way to change his current situation. Mo Liqin, this pretty boy is not bad. Don't you like him? I'll leave him to you. Don't kill him. If we bring him back, it might be a great merit. One of the Demon Wing clan emperors said. What are you doing? Heaven's Horizon's face changed. He was afraid when he saw the Demon Wing clan emperor's eyes. The psychological trauma from last time was very serious. What are we doing? If you want to live, then be honest. We'll give you a chance to communicate with the upper echelons. If you make me unhappy, the consequence will be your death. The Demon Wing clan emperor Mo Liqin, who had a thick beard, said. Chapter 2063. Even leaning against the tree was useless. Under the attack of the Demon Wing Imperial Emperor, Heaven's Horizon was afraid of death and did not dare to fight head-on. Naturally, it was captured, tortured, and sent to the Demon Imperial City. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Knight Sorrow was not worried about whether he could complete his goal before the end of his confinement. So what if he could not complete it? No one said that he had to end his cultivation and leave Reincarnation Island after his confinement ended. He could cultivate for as long as he wanted. However, something happened that made Knight Sorrow very happy. The 9 domain world's great world tribulation had arrived. After passing it, the 9-domain world would be at the Great World level. The 9-domain origins told Knight Sorrow that the tribulation would come in a few years. It was still brewing. It would probably wait until Knight Sorrow's confinement ended. Knight Sorrow was not worried about the danger brought by the tribulation. He was excited. In the past, the Chaos Realm's 3 great worlds' world tribulation had passed without an emperor. Now that he was at the 8th tribulation of the Heavenly Tao, he could naturally withstand it. There were many emperors in the other 9-domain worlds. The God-slaying team was very strong now. If they could not pass the world tribulation with their strength, then there was nothing to say. Looking at Yi Xiaoke, Knight Sorrow felt that he should throw him into the 9-domain world for a while and let him come in contact with the 9-domain world more. When Lin Piaomiao was pregnant, Knight Sorrow was worried that Yi Xiaoke's life origin belonged to the celestial realm. After all, the celestial realm did not have much lifespan. It was only one era. Later, the 9-domain origins told Knight Sorrow that when Yi Xiaoke showed signs of life, he absorbed the origin power of the 9-domain origins pearl in Knight Sorrow's body. His life imprint belonged to the 9-domain world. Only then did Knight Sorrow feel relieved. This meant that Yi Xiaoke was from the 9-domain world. When Yi Xiaoke was born, he also absorbed some of the celestial realm's fate dragon's fate. This was a great help. One had to know that ordinary people could not even get close to Yawa Mountain, let alone give birth. This was because King Yawu was familiar with Lin Piaomiao's aura and Grand Elder's aura. Otherwise, even if he was in seclusion, he would have come out and killed the intruders. Knight Sorrow didn't tell anyone about the 9-domain world's tribulation. He had his 9-domain world clone, so he wouldn't be caught off guard. In addition, Knight Sorrow told his wives that it was better for their children to return to the 9 regions world, especially Yi Xiaoke. Everyone in the Yi family respected Knight Sorrow's opinion. His wives brought their children back to the 9 domains world. Knight Sorrow began to cultivate again, aiming for the heavenly Down 9, the Arch Tribulation. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. Knight Sorrow's self-confinement was over, but he didn't reach the Emperor Tribulation realm. On the 29th year of his confinement, which was 1 year before the end of his confinement, Knight Sorrow reached the peak of the Emperor Tribulation realm. Now that his confinement was over, Knight Sorrow planned to prepare for the 9 domains world's tribulation. Knight Sorrow found the Grand Elder and Golden Dragon King and told them about his return to the 9 domains world and the impending tribulation. After all, he had to deal with it. Very good. It's different from 5 years ago. The new and old Supreme Worlds can keep up with the pace. Go back and deal with it, the Grand Elder said. I will bring back the 9 domains world members of the God-slaying team. The other 3 great generals and First Army will continue to be stationed at Reincarnation Island. Knight Sorrow told them his plans. The Grand Elder and Golden Dragon King both supported Knight Sorrow's plans. In addition, because Jun Xuanji and Zhu Jiuyan were going to follow Knight Sorrow back to the 9 domains world, the Grand Elder also decided to return to the Heavenly Desolate City. The Golden Dragon King's doppelganger was enough to guard the 9 domains world. The Golden Dragon King was weaker than the giant of the Demon Wing clan, but with the help of the Stronghold's formation, he wouldn't be defeated in a short time. This time, the Heavenly Desolate City's City Lord and Grand Elder would be able to come to his aid. In addition, the 100 races of the Celestial Realm had been developing on Reincarnation Island for decades. The Demon Wing clan wouldn't attack so easily. After returning to the 9 domains world, Knight Sorrow let the God-slaying team camp in the 9 domains world while he returned to the city in the sky. In the past few days, Knight Sorrow's 9 domains doppelganger had been cultivating the unbounded spear arts and hadn't spent much time with his family. Now, he planned to spend time with his parents and Old Man Gu before the 9 domains world's tribulation. Knight Sorrow spent every day drinking tea with his parents and fishing with Old Man Gu. As for his children, they had long since disappeared. Half a month after Night Sorrow returned to the Nine Domains world, Tai Shu Yan returned with Yi Xiaokei. Seeing Yi Xiaokei with his head lowered and silent, Night Sorrow knew that his son might have gotten into trouble, so he looked at Tai Shu Yan. It's not a big deal. Xiaokei entered the realm of unbounded desolation and had some conflicts with the demon beasts. The Black Dragon King had no choice but to come to me. He thought it was a cultivator from another world who came to make trouble, Tai Shu Yan said. You bastard, don't you know how to behave? Night Sorrow glared at Yi Xiaokei. Father, you can't blame me for this. I was just looking around. I didn't intend to get into a conflict with anyone. It was an accident that I offended the Black Dragon King, Yi Xiaokei said. Martial Ant, tell me what trouble he caused. I'll deal with it. Night Sorrow said after inviting Tai Shu Yan to sit down. Forget about it. It's embarrassing to talk about it. Tai Shu Yan didn't elaborate. Xiaokei, explain it clearly. Lin Piaomiao said. Mother, it's like this. I was traveling around the Nine Domains world. That day, I rested on a mountain. After resting, I stood on the mountain peak and peed. As a result, I peed on someone, and he lost his temper. That's what happened. Yi Xiaokei's voice was somewhat low. His pee had traveled far. After all, he had practiced with Lin Chuan before. That day, he had poured energy into his pee, so his pee had traveled through the clouds, from the mountain peak to the foot of the mountain, and on to the sleeping Black Dragon King. Black Dragon King, who had thought it was raining, immediately understood what had happened when he saw Yi Xiaokei pulling up his pants. How could he bear it? He had chased after Yi Xiaokei and started killing him. Naturally, he didn't know who Yi Xiaokei was. Although Black Dragon King was quite strong, the 15-year-old Yi Xiaokei was already at the Middle King realm. Black Dragon King was no match for him. Yi Xiaokei, who had remembered his parents' instructions not to kill easily, immediately ran away. Since he couldn't catch Yi Xiaokei, Black Dragon King had mobilized the demon beasts of the realm of unbounded desolation to intercept him, which had turned into a beast tide. You bastard! Martial Ant, where is Black Dragon King now? I'll take my men to apologize. Night Sorrow sighed. He really couldn't say anything about this matter. His son hadn't done anything wrong. It was just that he had peed in the wrong place. He's still in Nine Domains City. It's not a big deal, but no one would feel good about being peed on, Tai Shu Yan said with a smile. Sister Xian, let's take our son to Black Dragon King and apologize. Night Sorrow said. He had a friendship with Black Dragon King, the former Black Dragon Saint. He had to give him an explanation. Chapter 2064. He's just a child. Why are you being so calculative with a child? Night Sorrow educates his child. Don't you understand that this is just a small matter? Yun Tianlong said. Night Sorrow educates his child. That little fellow can't be Night Sorrow's son, right? Black Dragon Lord looked at Yun Tianlong in surprise. You're right. That's Night Sorrow's youngest child. I just got the news from Tai Shu Yan. That child is only in his teens. He didn't have any ill intentions. It was just an accident. Yun Tianlong said. Sigh. So what if he pees all over? He's already a 4-star king in his teens. That's amazing. Hearing that Yi Xiaokei was Night Sorrow's child, Black Dragon Lord shook his head. He knew that this matter was over. Night Sorrow was someone he respected and also the realm lord of the Nine Regions world. He had done a lot for the Nine Regions world. He couldn't make things difficult for Night Sorrow. As Black Dragon Lord said this, Night Sorrow and his wife brought Yi Xiaokei into the city lord's mansion. I'm sorry about this. Shao Kai quickly apologized to Senior Black Dragon Lord. Senior, I'm sorry. It's Yi Shou's fault. I didn't understand and made you angry. Yi Shao Kai bowed to Black Dragon Lord. Domain Lord, what are you doing? Young Domain Lord, if you shouted and told me your identity, I wouldn't have chased you. However, your P was too far and too accurate. Black Dragon Lord cupped his hands to Night Sorrow. Yi Shao Kai apologized again. Regardless of whether it was intentional or not, he had hurt Black Dragon Lord. After chatting for a while, Black Dragon Lord also expressed his apologies. He didn't want to make things difficult for anyone. In the beginning, he was just angry. Shao Kai, it's okay to do something wrong. Don't run away. You have to face it bravely. Night Sorrow looked at his son and said, Father, you told me not to kill for no reason. At that time, Senior Black Dragon Lord didn't listen to my explanation and wanted to kill me. So I had to run. Yi Shao Kai said softly. You're still saying you're right. Night Sorrow glared at Yi Shao Kai. Ha! Don't scold me anymore, Realm Lord. I made a big fuss out of nothing this time. It's not a big deal. Next time, when you go to the realm of unbounded desolation, just let me know in advance, and I'll let you know. You can do whatever you want, and no demon beasts will dare to provoke you. The Nine Realms world is your father's territory, and the realm of unbounded desolation is my, Black Dragon Monarch's, territory. I really don't know what to do with you. Martial Uncle Tai Shu, Monarch Yun, give the order to gather all cultivators above the Saint King realm. We will have a war in 3 months, Night Sorrow said to Tai Shu Yen and Yun Tianlong. What, is there going to be a big battle? Tai Shu Yan's eyes lit up. The great world tribulation of the 9-domain world is coming. We need to solve this problem. Although it's not a big problem, we need to call out those who need to. Everyone has a chance to contribute to the 9-domain world, so do it, Night Sorrow said. Tai Shu Yen, Yun Tianlong, and Black Dragon Monarch all bowed to Night Sorrow. This was an official military order. They had to carry out the Realm Lord's order. After giving the orders, Night Sorrow left the City Lord's mansion with Lin Piaomiao and Yi Shao Kai and went to the teleportation portal. After arriving at Sky City and exiting the teleportation portal, Yi Shao Kai bowed to Night Sorrow and Lin Piaomiao and said, I'm sorry. I didn't know any better and made father and mother worry. Father, please don't be angry. I'll be more careful in the future. Night Sorrow smiled and shook his head. It's not a big deal. It was an accident. Just go and apologize. Looking at his father, Yi Shao Kai nodded. He was a little afraid of Night Sorrow, mainly because he didn't want to make him angry. He knew how difficult it was for his father from his mother and aunt's education. He didn't want to trouble his father with some of his matters. Translator, Zephizi Editor, Dioquin, actually, it's nothing. Let's go home. Everyone is here. You don't have to go back to spend time with your family. Remember, no matter how great your achievements are, your family must value you. Night Sorrow said to his son. Shao Kai, you might have been influenced by the rumors outside. Don't think that it's hard to communicate with your father just because he has fame and achievements. Your father is patient and tolerant towards you and your brother. Lin Piaomiao said to Yi Shao Kai. After returning to Sky City, Night Sorrow chatted with his family about the changes in the 9-domain world. His 9-domain doppelganger also cultivated the limitless spear art, so he didn't know much about the 9-domain world. Now that he investigated, he found that it had expanded to the same size as the Chaos Realm's 3 great worlds. The level was about the same, but the Chaos Realm's 3 great worlds couldn't be compared to the 9-domain world. The 9-domain world was a new world with rich spiritual energy. It also contained more opportunities and was full of vitality. After returning home, Yi Xiaokei was still not in a good mood because he knew that his sister and brothers had never caused any trouble. They also didn't ask their parents to go out and apologize. Night Sorrow sat beside Yi Xiaokei and patted his shoulder. Are you still thinking about today's matter? If you don't understand, then Father will tell you. Father will tell you Father's view of the world and his attitude towards you and your siblings. First of all, we Yi family members must have a clear conscience. As long as we can do this, we will dare to face any challenge. Today's matter, whether you did it intentionally or not, was wrong. So we went to apologize. This is the basic principle. The Yi family members listened and no one interrupted, including Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing, who spoiled their grandson very much. If we apologize and the other party doesn't continue to make things difficult for us, then the matter will end happily. If the other party doesn't forgive us on the basis of our unintentional injury, then we are not afraid of the matter. We will deal with it however we want. Night Sorrow said. Xiaokei will remember Father's teachings. Yi Xiaokei nodded. Also, remember one thing. If you encounter a problem, you have your sister and brother. You have Father. You can tell Father anything. Night Sorrow nodded at Yi Xiaokei. Got it. Yi Xiaokei took the teapot and poured a cup of tea for Night Sorrow. Ha! It's my youngest son's first time serving tea. I must drink it. Night Sorrow took the tea and drank it in one gulp. Xiaokei, come to Grandma's side. Yu Qing waved her hand and pulled her grandson to her side. Your father is right. We Yi family members must have a clear conscience. If we do this, we will kill whoever dares to provoke us. You have to understand the most important thing. Your father is working hard for. Let's not talk about some grand goal first. The most basic thing is that the Yi family will be stable and give you a stable living environment. Son, am I right? Yu Qing looked at her son after she finished speaking. Chapter 2065. You're good. Everyone is here today. We'll hold a sumptuous family feast tonight. Everyone, put down whatever you're doing. No one is allowed to leave, Yu Qing said. After Yu Qing finished speaking, her daughters-in-law went to work. The Yi clan's family feast was all done by their own people. However, there were many people. Night Sorrow's 2 daughters and 1 daughter-in-law also worked together with Sikong Chuyu and the others. Night Sorrow, our Yi clan's children have no problems with their upbringing. It's just that you've been busy and they don't know you well enough. They don't understand your attitude and thoughts, so you have to interact with them more. Our Yi clan doesn't bully others, but we can't be bullied either. We can't be bullied, Yi Wuyo said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that this was his own problem. He lacked communication and interaction with his children. During the family feast, the Yi clan didn't have a rule of not talking while eating. Everyone chatted casually because it was an opportunity for them to interact. Father, you've been too tired these years. You should rest. We'll work hard and cultivate. We'll help you shoulder some of the burden, Yi Xiaoluo said as he poured Night Sorrow a cup of wine. As long as you have the heart, I am satisfied. However, everyone has their own responsibilities and their paths are different. I would like to stay in the 9 regions world peacefully, but as a member of the 100 Races Alliance and with the Human Emperor seal, there are some things that I must do. You don't have to worry. High-speed cultivation will only last for a while. I'll stabilize later, Night Sorrow said. The children once again asked to join the god-slaying team. Night Sorrow directly rejected them without giving a reason. Yi Qingyan and the others knew why Night Sorrow rejected them. After Jun Xuanji and Zhu Jiuyun returned to the 9 regions world, they first went to the Profound Mysteries realm and the Nether realm. Of course, the Profound Mysteries realm and the Nether realm were only regions in the 9 regions world. They couldn't be called worlds. The previous world barriers had been diluted. As time passed, the spatial barriers would disappear completely. After looking at their respective regions, Jun Xuanji and Zhu Jiuyun felt relieved. The 9-domain world commander's residence had always been in charge of the 9-domain world, maintaining its rapid development without any bias. Jun Xuanji and Zhu Jiuyun arrived at 9-region city, where the god-slaying squad was stationed. After arriving at the god-slaying team's encampment, Jun Xuanji looked at Tianyu and Long Jin and asked, "Commander, are you still not back yet?" Although Night Sorrow had only allowed the members of the god-slaying team from the 9 regions world to return, Lin Chuan, Long Jin, and the others had all come over. Looking at Jun Xuanji, Tianyu frowned. "Jun Xuanji, don't you think your words are a little inappropriate?" "That's right. It's your business that you're friends with the captain. But if you speak like this, how can us brothers endure it?" Long Jin also spoke up. He also felt that Jun Xuanji's words lacked respect for Night Sorrow. In the god-slaying team, everyone was brothers and sisters, but everyone had a certain level of respect for Night Sorrow. When Jun Xuanji was in the Broken Sky Mountain encampment, everyone took it as a joke and did not take it to heart. But now that the members of the god-slaying team were all here, Jun Xuanji's words were very abrupt and were equivalent to destroying Night Sorrow's image in everyone's hearts. "We're all from the 9 regions world. I hope that everyone can be harmonious. It's best if no one attacks my 13th brother," Yimei spoke up. Her words were a little more intense than Tianyu and Long Jin's. "Plus Opsi, it's just a joke. There's no need to go so far. Also, if there's any situation or arrangements, the commander will send a message." Lin Yun, who had also come to the 9 regions world to take a look, spoke up to ease the atmosphere and give Jun Xuanji a way out. Jun Xuanji let out a breath and said, "Brothers and sisters, I'm sorry. I wasn't attacking Night Sorrow. My words just now were inappropriate. I apologize." As Night Sorrow's strategist in the 9 Heavens Army and the current general manager of the Humanitarian League, Jun Xuanji was a smart person. He knew that he should not speak carelessly in front of the members of the god-slaying team. His emotions could be vented on Night Sorrow, but it was inappropriate to show his dissatisfaction in front of others. The commander hasn't spent time with his family for a long time. Now that he's a little free, it's reasonable for him to spend some time with his family. We'll just wait for orders. Tianyu, you're the host of the 9 regions world. Can you treat everyone to a meal tonight? Lin Yun said with a smile. You should be the one to take advantage of 13th brother. But since he's not here, I'll take advantage of him. I'm also quite happy that you guys can come along, Tianyu said. That's a little pretentious. Once you treat us to a meal, all problems will be solved. Tianyu, we all know that you're rich, Lin Yun said with a smile. There's no problem with treating us to a meal. General Manager Jun, we don't know why you're in a bad mood. Let's have a meal, drink some wine, and everything will be over. If you can't get over it, you can think of a way to get over it. There's nothing that can't be solved, Tianyu said. After Tianyu got married, his personality had changed. His aura had become much calmer and more magnanimous. Take today's matter for example. If it was in the past, he wouldn't have handled it this way. Jun Xuanji nodded. She was also touched by Tianyu's words. Night Sorrow didn't care about the god-slaying team. He brought Yi Shaokei, who wanted to see the place where he used to live, to Bamboo Garden City for a walk and to the Yi clan's territory. Father, as the head of the Yi clan, you don't care about anything? Yi Shaokei asked after hearing how the Yi clan's people in Bamboo Garden Village addressed Night Sorrow. It's just a title. The Night Moon Empire doesn't need you to manage it. Everything is running normally. This is where I lived when I was young. In the past, I only had an iron spear. Once I left the village and entered the wilderness, I could hunt. It's a pity that after nearly 1,000 years, things have changed, said Night Sorrow. It's really beautiful here, Yi Xiaokei said as he looked around Bamboo Garden Village. In the past, cultivators of the essence-gathering realm were very powerful in this area. It would take more than half a month to go from here to Medicine Valley by beast carriage. There were many dangers along the way. Now, it can be solved with a transmission array, Night Sorrow said with a smile. This place has changed because of you, Father. By the way, those people just said that Medicine Valley is going to hold a ceremony to accept disciples. Father, take me there. Don't I have a senior brother and sister? I've never seen them before, Yi Xiaokei said. Chapter 2066. Night Sorrow brought Yi Xiaokei to Danding City via the teleportation portal. Danding City had a teleportation portal that was connected to Medicine Valley. However, ordinary people could not use it as there were strict restrictions. Night Sorrow brought Yi Xiaokei to the teleportation portal and tried to ask. During the Medicine Valley's disciple recruitment ceremony, to show sincerity and respect, no one is allowed to use the teleportation portal. Even during normal times, only law enforcers and above can use it, the man guarding the portal said. Night Sorrow nodded and left with Yi Xiaokei. Father, what's your identity in the Medicine Valley? Yi Xiaokei asked after they left. He knew that his father was from the Medicine Valley. Apart from the disciples of the Medicine Valley who grew up with him, not many people could recognize him when he was not around. Identity. I think you're a Grand Elder. Why are you asking this? Being a Grand Elder is a responsibility, not something you can flaunt. Night Sorrow shook his head at his son. Father, don't think of me like that. I'm not a playboy. I'm just curious. Yi Xiaokei explained. I'm not. I have absolute trust in you and your siblings. If you're wrong, I'll tell you directly. Where are you hiding your thoughts and insinuating? Night Sorrow smiled and wrapped Yi Xiaokei in energy. His body flashed twice and they arrived at the foot of Danding Peak. I wanted to come here a few days ago. However, I felt that this is where you and my 2 aunts were born. I had to be formal if I wanted to come, so I gave up on the idea, Yi Xiaokei said. You're right. It's really lively here. I remember when I entered the sect, this place was not so grand. The lintel was also lower and the ancient tree was not so thick. Night Sorrow pointed at an ancient tree. While Yi Shang and his son were chatting, a beast carriage galloped over and came to a stop at the mountain gate. Get out of the way. Don't block our young master's way. The driver of the beast carriage was a stage 4 clone cultivator. He shouted at Night Sorrow and Yi Xiaokei. How are we poor? Yi Xiaokei was a little displeased after being yelled at. Look, who didn't come here in a beast carriage? You want to enter the Medicine Valley without any background. The coachman looked at Night Sorrow and Yi Xiaokei as he spoke. Then, he ushered a young man in brocade clothes out of the carriage. From the Southern Dipper sect. Yi Shan glanced at the insignia on the carriage and asked. Hey! It's not wrong to say that you're poor. 300 years ago, the Nanda clan existed as a noble family. Do you understand? The young man glanced at Night Sorrow and entered the Medicine Valley with his followers. Young Master K, do we look poor to you? Night Sorrow looked at Yi Wook. Not really, but we definitely don't look like a rich family. The men of the Yi family, including Grandpa, Father, and my brothers, never wear silk or brocade clothes. They all wear coarse linen clothes. If my sisters came, they would be scared to death, Yi Xiaokei said. The men and women of the Yi family wore different clothes. The women of the Yi family wore the best clothes in the celestial realm, not to mention the chaos realm. This was because Night Sorrow's wives were all women with great taste. The men couldn't do the same. Because Night Sorrow didn't pursue them, his son followed Night Sorrow's example. Haha. I wear coarse linen clothes because I feel comfortable. I'm not trying to emphasize anything. You're all casual. Night Sorrow laughed. Young Master K also thinks that it's good. Some families that have just risen up don't understand this. This is depth. Our Yi family has such depth. Their words are too superficial. I'll pretend that I didn't hear them. Yi Xiaokei shook his head. You're still young, but you have enough depth. That's good. Night Sorrow nodded with a smile. The Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony hadn't officially arrived yet. Night Sorrow brought Yi Xiaokei to the Taishan Peak. There was less trouble outside the mountain gate, but inside the mountain gate, there was a guard every 3 steps and a sentry every 5 steps. There were disciples of the Medicine Valley patrolling everywhere. Shaking his head, Night Sorrow wrapped Yi Xiaokei with his energy. His body flashed and appeared in the bamboo grove. The bamboo grove used to be Aoi's training ground. Because she wasn't around all year round, it was given to Ningyun and July. Ningyun, who was practicing swordsmanship in the bamboo grove, stopped. July, who was watching from the side, also froze. Then, the two of them quickly bowed to greet. Get up quickly. There's no need. Young Master K greets your senior brother and sister. Night Sorrow waved his arm and helped Ningyun and July up. Is this Master's son? July asked Yi Xiaokei. Yes. He's my and mistress' son. He used to stay with me in the celestial realm. Now that I'm back, I brought him to see you. You two should get to know each other. Don't fight when you meet somewhere else. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Looking at his clothes and demeanor, I know he's from the Yi family. How could we fight? Uncle, you're overthinking. July pulled Yi Xiaokei to her side and sized him up. Ningyun invited Night Sorrow to sit down and began to make tea. Senior sister, don't say that we're from the Yi family. My father and I were called poor at the Medicine Valley's mountain gate. They even despised us for blocking the way. Yi Xiaokei looked at his own clothes and said. Ah. That's because they don't have a broad vision. They're too shallow. Forget about them. There's no need to lower yourself to their level. July said with a smile. July, you've matured. You're different from before. Night Sorrow looked at July and nodded. Master, she can't be immature. She has grandchildren all over the place. It's not appropriate for her to bare her fangs and brandish her claws like before. Ningyun said with a smile. Children and grandchildren. Very good. I've slept for 700 years and didn't participate in any of your family matters. It's my fault. Night Sorrow said. Uncle, don't say that. You've slept for 700 years. July's sky has collapsed. July's eyes were filled with tears. Update, our update the fastest on M. Night Sorrow patted July's shoulder and then asked about Ningyun and July's situation. Night Sorrow then found out that July was the current peak master of Taishan Peak while Ningyun was the elder. Ningyun wasn't just the elder of Taishan Peak. She was the elder of the entire Medicine Valley. In addition, July was the first deputy hall master of the Sacred Hall. She controlled the general direction of the Sacred Hall. Both of you have taken on great responsibilities, but your junior sister and junior brother don't care about these matters. I don't want to force them to do things they don't want to do. Night Sorrow shook his head. They're the same as Master. They have an indifferent personality. They live happily like this. However, Master, don't think that Ning Yun and I are tired. We're tall enough. We just need to move our mouths, July said. Chapter 2067. Knight Sorrow arrived at Taishan Peak's main hall and saw Wu Qi and Huanan at the entrance. Second senior brother, third senior brother, Xiao Ke greets second martial uncle and third martial uncle. After Yi Shang cupped his hands in greeting, he let Yi Xiao Ke greet Wu Qi and Huanan. Don't stand on ceremony, let's talk inside. 13. You haven't met Master and big senior brother, right? Wu Qi invited Knight Sorrow into the main hall. Not yet. When I came, I checked and found that Master, big senior brother, and Grand Elder Hua were all in the main hall for a meeting, so I didn't go. Knight Sorrow said. As they chatted, Yi Xiao Ke felt a little uncomfortable and was sent out to play by Knight Sorrow. Yi Xiao Ke was only 15 years old and was not used to listening to adults talk. 13. Your youngest son is still so young. He's already a 4-star king. Huanan lamented. 15 years old. I remember I started cultivating when I was 14 years old. Our starting point is different from his. Actually, we work hard to cultivate because we want our descendants to have a better life than us. Knight Sorrow said. That's true. You've done it. Also, the orders from the Commander-in-Chief's office have already reached the 9 regions. Master and the others are probably discussing this. Huanan said. Knight Sorrow nodded. It's because of the 9 regions' world's tribulation. It's not a big problem. I just feel that if everyone works hard together, the 9 regions' world will be more united. You have to know that as the 9 regions' world continues to develop, there will be more and more foreign cultivators. The local life forms have an advantage, but it's not that big. That's why unity is important. Wu Qi and Huanan supported Knight Sorrow's point of view. They had ventured out before and knew the big picture. While they were talking, a disciple came to inform them that the Valley Master and Grand Elder had invited all the Peak Masters and Elders to Danning Peak's main hall for a meeting. I won't go. I'll meet Master and big senior brother later. Knight Sorrow said. Let's go. It's not easy for you to come back, but you're just in time, Huanan said as he pulled Knight Sorrow's arm. Knight Sorrow didn't want to refuse, so he told Yi Xiao Ke to wait for him at the bamboo grove. Then, he followed Wu Qi and Huanan to the main hall of the sect. They met 4th senior brother Huang'an, 5th senior brother Lu Peng, 7th senior brother Zhou Zheng, 8th senior brother Shi Tianlin, and 10th senior brother Tao Yuan. Seeing Knight Sorrow, they all felt quite surprised and excited, as it was not easy for fellow apprentices to meet each other. The group of people chatted and laughed as they arrived at the conference hall. Then, they walked in. There were many people walking inside, but everyone was checked by the law enforcers at the entrance of the conference hall. Huanan brought Yi Shang along as he showed his token to the guard of the great meeting hall. Then, he walked into the hall. Stop right there. You can't enter without a badge. The middle-aged gatekeeper's body flashed as he blocked Knight Sorrow's path. Get out of the way. A man pulled on the gatekeeper's arm. It was Yi Shui. Martial uncle, you can't enter the hall without an elder badge. He doesn't have a badge and doesn't have an identity badge, the man said as he grabbed his long sword. Greetings, Grand Elder. This is a disciple of Wuwei Peak. He doesn't know you, so please forgive him, Yi Shui said as he bowed to Knight Sorrow. At this moment, the elders of the Medicine Valley, who were entering the hall, bowed to Knight Sorrow. Greetings, Grand Elder. Even Yu Yangyu and Hua Yunping stood up. You're all too polite. I didn't want to come, but I don't like this kind of scene. You can do whatever you want. I'm just here to take a look. Knight Sorrow cupped his hands in return. Why didn't you tell me that you were back? Come and sit beside me. Yu Yangyu took a few steps forward and pulled Night Sorrow to his side. Night Sorrow was his favorite and most promising disciple. Ishubei pulled the Wuwei Peak's law enforcer to the outside of the hole. Be smarter in the future. No one will barge into the Medicine Valley's conference hall. Besides, he's accompanied by the martial uncles of Taishian Peak. Grand Elder Knight. The Wuwei Peak's law enforcer was stunned as he looked at the conference hall. Just pretend that I'm not here. Talk about whatever you want. Otherwise, I won't feel comfortable, Night Sorrow said as he sat down in the hall. Ha! This is the spiritual leader of the Medicine Valley. It's been so many years, but he's still the same as before, Yen Beiji said with a smile. Martial Uncle is still the same. Night Sorrow cupped his hands in front of Yen Beiji. Grand Elder. Whitey version J, Night Sorrow, we're having this meeting because the Commander-in-Chief's office ordered all cultivators above the Holy King realm to gather. The Saints have also been prepared to act as the reserve force. They didn't mention the specific situation. The Medicine Valley plans to gather the troops and depart after the disciple recruitment ceremony, Yu Yangyu said. The Saints are gathering as the reserve force. I really didn't know. The order to gather this time was given by me to the Commander-in-Chief's office. It's mainly to deal with the tribulation of the 9 regions world. There should be about 2 months left. Night Sorrow explained the reason for gathering the troops. Is the tribulation of the 9 regions world very serious? Hua Yunping asked. It's not serious. When the time comes, we'll go together and solve the problems. Night Sorrow shook his head. Okay. Other than the time when the Medicine Valley rose and we fought side by side, we didn't have another chance. This time, we can. Hua Nan was a little excited. Then, the meeting turned into a chat. Since there was nothing to discuss, the matter was settled. 13. If the Medicine Valley wants to develop, is there a need to develop a branch in the celestial realm? Gong Xian looked at Night Sorrow and asked. There's no need. It's a great era now. After the Great Era, the development center of the 100 races will be the 9 regions world. Of course, we still need time. We'll spend a lot of effort and pay a high price to develop in the celestial realm, but the future core will be the 9 regions world. Everything we do will be neglecting the essentials, Night Sorrow said. Fortunately, I asked you. Otherwise, it would have been a waste of effort, Gong Xian said. The Medicine Valley is currently expanding very quickly. In fact, this model is not suitable. In the past, some large sects and forces didn't develop well in the later stages because they had too many disciples. The quality of their disciples was not good, which made them angry and attacked them in the end. This is not a management problem, but a development trend. No matter how strict the sect's rules and regulations are, they can't control the emergence of black sheep. It's better to go the elite route. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow talked about the disadvantages of the Medicine Valley's current development. We must pay attention to the problem that the Grand Elder mentioned. The Medicine Valley is indeed developing too quickly. It's most important to have a stable foundation. Duanlei also supported Night Sorrow's point of view because he had mentioned this problem before. Night Sorrow, after the disciple recruitment ceremony, I will discuss this problem with the elders in detail. The Medicine Valley must not make any mistakes. We must pass down this legacy, Yu Yangyu said. Yes, it's a serious matter. Yi Xiling nodded. Chapter 2068. Jingyi, stop talking. Yi Xiling turned her head to stop Lin Jingyi. The others also looked at Lin Jingyi. Most of the old people sitting here knew what had happened between Night Sorrow and Lin Jingyi in the past. Now that they heard Lin Jingyi's words, they felt that Lin Jingyi was targeting Night Sorrow. Master, I'm telling the truth. If Night Sorrow doesn't fall, who can do anything to our Medicine Valley? Who dares to do anything to our Medicine Valley? On the other hand, to put it bluntly, if he were to be defeated by his opponent one day, they wouldn't leave our Medicine Valley alive either. They would uproot us directly to get rid of future troubles. Lin Jingyi didn't stop her speech and continued to throw out another point of view. After hearing Lin Jingyi's words, Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, I didn't think about this before. Senior Sister Lin is right. I will work hard to cultivate in the future and increase my strength. As for the development of the Medicine Valley, we can discuss it. Night Sorrow, what I said just now is not extreme. It's reasonable. If you are in trouble, then the Medicine Valley will do its best to stand behind you, even if it can't help you. Can your opponent stay in such a sect? Obviously not. Of course, this can't be the reason for the Medicine Valley to develop randomly. We still have to pay attention to the stability of the foundation and the quality of the sect's disciples. Lin Jingyi said. She didn't use the title of a Grand Supreme. She just called him by his name as usual. I understand. I know Senior Sister Lin is a sensible person. Night Sorrow nodded. Night Sorrow is the Emperor of Merit and the backer of our Medicine Valley. But our disciples can't run amok because of this and tarnish Night Sorrow's reputation. After the disciple recruitment ceremony, let's sit together and revise the sect rules. Elder Xiang, do you have any objections? Yu Yangyu looked at Xiang Tianding and asked. I don't have any objections. The development of the sect must be on the right path. If it deviates, it must be corrected. Xiang Tianding nodded. Yong Yijiu, $read novels for free are for the sect meeting soon turned into a chat. However, Night Sorrow didn't speak much. Once he spoke, the others wouldn't speak and would only listen to him. After staying for a while, Night Sorrow stood up, cupped his hands, and left. It was fine for him to talk business here, but if he chatted, everyone would feel uncomfortable. Outside of the assembly hall, Elder Yi Shui didn't wait for Night Shang to leave. He dragged the law enforcer from Wuwei Peak to apologize to Night Shang. Please forgive me, Grand Elder Yi. I have seen the statue of the Grand Elder and should have recognized him. However, I never thought that the Grand Elder would appear, so I offended you, the law enforcer of the Wuwei Peak said. It's all right. As a person, one must have a persevering attitude. Since you're guarding the conference hall, you can't enter without a token. This is the rule. You didn't do anything wrong. The Medicine Valley needs disciples like you. Work hard. Night Sorrow patted the disciple's shoulder and then turned to leave. Uncle Master Yi, Grand Elder Yi won't be angry anymore, right? My arm. The law enforcer moved his left arm in surprise. What's wrong? Yi Shui asked in surprise. Disciple was injured in the early days of training. My arm was broken. Later, it was successfully reconnected, but 2 of my veins were blocked. Just now, Grand Elder Yi patted my shoulder, and the 2 veins were reconnected. The law enforcer moved his arm and said. Are you still worried that Grand Elder Yi will be angry? She is the Merit Emperor. Will she lower herself to your level? Yi Shui shook his head. Night Sorrow returned to Taishan Peak. After picking up his son, Yi Shaokei, in the Bamboo Grove, he went to Bamboo Grove Peak. Son, this is where I used to cultivate. It was your Uncle Master's at first, but he gave it to me later. At that time, there were 3 bamboo huts here. Later, it was built like this. Sometimes, I would take your mother and aunt here to rest. Night Sorrow introduced the place to Yi Shaokei after arriving at Bamboo Grove Peak. This place is really good. Can I cultivate here in the future? Yi Xiaokei asked. Okay, I will talk to your uncle masters later. Knight Sorrow nodded. After drinking a cup of tea, Knight Sorrow estimated that even if he left early, the meeting would be over. He planned to visit Yu Yangyu. When Knight Sorrow arrived at Taixian Peak, Yu Yangyu, Gong Xian, and Xiang Tianding all came over. Please forgive me, Master. I should have gone to greet you first, but I found that you were in a meeting, so I didn't go. Knight Sorrow bowed to Yu Yangyu. You don't need to be so polite. How are your two senior sisters? Yu Yangyu reached out to help Knight Sorrow up and pulled him into the Taixian Hall. In the Taixian Hall, Knight Sorrow, Yu Yangyu, Gong Xian, Xiang Tianding, and Uncle Master Tai Tsang chatted for a while. They mainly talked about the future development of the Nine Zones world. Knight Sorrow talked about the possible situations. Yu Yangyu and the others didn't know about these, so they could only listen to Knight Sorrow's analysis. They were thinking about how to develop the Medicine Valley and how to prepare for a new set of rules. In the afternoon, Knight Sorrow and his senior brothers gathered. They hadn't seen each other for many years, so they needed to communicate. When Knight Sorrow returned to Bamboo Grove Peak, Yi Xiaokei was practicing his spear arts. Father, I plan to stay here for a while. If you have something to do, go ahead, Yi Xiaokei said after putting away his spear. That's fine. Tomorrow, I'll take you to see the Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony. Then, I'll introduce you to the Uncle Masters. Knight Sorrow nodded. After resting for a night on Bamboo Grove Peak, when Knight Sorrow and Yi Xiaokei finished washing up, Ning Yun and July came. The two of them invited Knight Sorrow to attend the Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony. At the gate of Medicine Valley, a few more seats were added to the original seats. The seats were higher than the seats of the sect master and the elders. Ho Jian. In the past, when we sent our family disciples to attend the Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony, only the elders attended. The grandest time was when the Valley Master appeared. Now, what's going on with the seats that are higher than the Valley Master's seat? Nan Liuel looked at Ho Jian beside her and asked. The two of them were in the audience seats. Behind them were the disciples of the Nandu family and the Holy Light sect who came to join the Medicine Valley. After nearly 1,000 years of baptism, there was only one super sect in the Eastern Profound Domain, and that was the Medicine Valley. In fact, it was also the #1 sect in the Nine Domains world. The various forces in the Nine Domains world also sent their disciples to the Medicine Valley to cultivate. The Medicine Valley did not reject this. Whether or not one could enter the sect depended on one's talent. However, one must make a heavenly oath before entering the sect. The only ones with a higher status than the Valley Master and the elders are the Supreme Elders. However, it's already good that one of them came. Today's situation seems to be different. There are 3 seats, Ho Jian said. His and Nan Liu's cultivation was high, but they understood that in a sect, the absolute upper echelons were almost all in a state of cultivation. They almost didn't care about the internal affairs of the sect. When Knight Sorrow and Yi Xiaokei arrived, the peak masters and elders who were originally sitting at the gate of the Medicine Valley stood up and cupped their hands to greet them. Gong Xian stood up and led Knight Sorrow to the Supreme Elder's seats. Then, Yu Yangyu and Xiang Tianding also arrived. The two of them cupped their hands to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow was a junior in the Medicine Valley. However, he was the domain master of the Nine Domains world. The Medicine Valley had to respect him. Chapter 2069. Great Aunt, who is that person? The young master in embroidered clothes took 2 steps forward and pointed at Yi Shang as he asked softly behind Nan Liue. The Domain Lord of the Nine Domain world, immortal godly Emperor Knight Sorrow. Nan Liue revealed Knight Sorrow's identity. After hearing Nan Liue's words, the young man's expression changed. He was the Nan family's Nan Kong, the descendant of Nan Liue's elder brother. He knew that there was a big problem. He had belittled Night Sorrow yesterday. Nan Liue turned to look at Nan Kong. You shouldn't be asking about this. What's wrong? She realized that something was wrong. Grandson belittled him yesterday. Nan Kang's body was trembling. What's wrong? Speak. Nan Liue roared. Nan Kang's body trembled and he knelt on the ground. Nan Liue's position in the Nan family was very high because she was a member of the god-slaying team. Grandson said he was poor. Nan Kong trembled as he spoke. Nan Liue stood up and grabbed Nan Kong by the neck. She walked over to Night Sorrow. Captain, what do you think we should do? Before Yi Shang could say anything, Yi Shaokei, who was standing behind Yi Shang, stepped forward and greeted Nan Liue. Aunt Liue. Liue, the child doesn't know any better. There's no need to make things difficult for him. Let's forget about it. Night Sorrow smiled. You're young, but you've developed a habit of looking down on others. Scram back to the family and receive your punishment. If you dare to hide anything from the family, I'll take your life. Nan Liue waved her hand and slapped Nan Kong, causing him to tumble to the ground. Liue, what are you doing? Children need to be educated slowly. Night Sorrow stood up and pulled Nan Kong up. You're not young anymore. You need to be mature and not judge people by their appearance. Giving others respect is giving yourself respect. Nan Kong will always remember Domain Lord's teachings. Thank you for forgiving Nan Kong. Nan Kong bowed deeply to Night Sorrow. Go. Calm down. Next up is the Medicine Valley's apprenticeship ceremony. Your journey is about to begin. Night Sorrow nodded at Nan Kong. After Nan Kong left, Nan Liue cupped her hands towards Night Sorrow before returning to her seat. Shaokei, tell your grandmaster, how did that little guy provoke your father? Yu Yongyu was very interested in this matter. Yi Shaokei rubbed his head. Maybe it's because my father and I don't dress well, so people call us poor. Puchi. Grand Elder Yi, I've never seen you wear brocade clothes. Now you're poor. Tang Qianqian couldn't help but laugh. It wasn't just her, the others were the same. Night Sorrow being called poor was definitely a big joke. It's nothing. I just feel comfortable like this. I didn't think too much about it. Children's words carry no harm. Night Sorrow really didn't care about this. Level and background aren't things that ordinary people can understand. If you look at people from outside, you're too shallow, Yi Xiling said. While everyone was chatting, the apprenticeship ceremony began. The disciples were tested one by one. Because there were more people, the entrance test was slower, but no one was in a hurry. When the sun was setting, the test ended. What was more surprising was that Nan Kong, who didn't have outstanding strength, was actually qualified to enter the sect. The apprenticeship ceremony began. It was the Medicine Valley's turn to choose disciples. What made it awkward was that Nan Kong didn't have anyone. When Night Sorrow stood up and was about to recommend someone, Lin Jingyi stood up. I haven't accepted a disciple for many years. Now that I'm accepting you as my disciple, do you dare to enter the sect? Lin Jingyi's gaze was sharp and she kept looking at Nan Kang's eyes. I dare. This disciple has offended the Zone Master. Although the Zone Master is magnanimous and won't punish this disciple is willing to accept any punishment, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Nan Kong bowed and said. Night Sorrow smiled awkwardly and sat down. He knew that Lin Jingyi was still against him, but he didn't care. After the apprenticeship ceremony, he would be leaving. Good. From now on, you will be Crepe Myrtle's disciple. You will be my disciple. Night Sorrow, it's actually very simple for me to accept him. He has perseverance, and perseverance is worth nurturing. After Lin Jingyi announced the apprenticeship ceremony, she looked at Knight Sorrow and explained. Knight Sorrow nodded in response. Whether or not Lin Jingyi had other intentions to accept him as a disciple, or she had high hopes for Nan Kang, he really didn't care. After the apprenticeship ceremony ended, Knight Sorrow stood up and cupped his hands towards Yu Yongyu. Master, this disciple has to go back. Eldest senior brother, Xiao Ke intends to cultivate in the bamboo forest peak for a while. Tell the other senior brothers not to be stopped outside. Okay, I'll arrange it for you later. There won't be any problems. Gong Xian nodded. Xian. Hurry up and get on the stage. K% 3-inch Xiao Ke, listen to your uncle masters. There's nothing else. Go home and take a look. Knight Sorrow said to Yi Xiao Ke before cupping his hands towards his senior brothers. Then, his body flashed and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. How did he leave? Tao Yuan stood up and asked in surprise. I don't know either. Xiang Tianding, who was already a high king, shook his head. Xiao Ke, right? What's your father's cultivation? Tang Qianqian asked. Listening to my father and mother's conversation, it seems to be the heavenly Tao 9 Emperor's tribulation. Yi Xiao Ke said. Elder Xiang, what level is the heavenly Tao 9 Emperor's tribulation? Tang Qianqian looked at Xiang Tianding. Xiang Tianding shook his head. I went to the celestial realm some time ago. I only know about the Emperor, and Emperor. I don't know about the heavenly Tao 9 Emperor's tribulation. It's probably something we don't understand. Knight Sorrow left. When he reached Danding City, he used the teleportation array and returned to the city in the sky. Knight Sorrow, did you lose your son while walking around with him? Lin Piaomiao asked when she saw that Knight Sorrow didn't see the child. Knight Sorrow smiled and told her about his trip to the Medicine Valley, his participation in the sex disciple recruitment ceremony, and Yi Shao's intention to cultivate at the bamboo forest peak. Lin Piaomiao nodded. She knew that the bamboo forest peak was a quiet place suitable for cultivation. There was still some time before the 9-domain world's heavenly Tao tribulation would arrive. Knight Sorrow's clone went to the lake to cultivate the limitless spear arts while his main body accompanied his family. Also, Knight Sorrow had some understanding of the 9-domain world's heavenly Tao tribulation. It was the appearance of an evil world that was on the same level as the 9-domain world. If the 9-domain world's cultivators could solve this problem, then the 9-domain world would rise to the level of a great world. If they couldn't, then the 9-domain world would be annihilated and disappear in the long river of history. The existence of a world was very important to the native cultivators. This was because everyone's source of life and soul imprint belonged to this world. If the world was destroyed, then reincarnation and cultivation would be impossible. The rapid development of a world and the stability of a world were good for the native cultivators. Take the Black Dragon Sage for example. He died in battle when he was in the Saint Realm and used a few decades to reincarnate. With the help of Tai Shu Yen, Yun Tianlong, and the others, he rose all the way to the King Realm. Chapter 2070. The Realm Lord and the world they belonged to complemented each other. If the Realm Lord developed quickly, the world would develop quickly. On the other hand, if the level of the world increased, it would be of great help to the Realm Lord. Therefore, Knight Sorrow was looking forward to the 9 regions world's upgrade. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. The 9 regions world's calamity was about to arrive. Knight Sorrow brought his wives to 9 regions city and called Yi Shaoke back. The Yi family had to participate in the 9 regions world's war. In the 9 regions city's martial arts practice field, there were many small camps. They were the strongholds of cultivators above the Saint Realm. Outside the martial arts practice field, there were a few camps. Those were the Saint Realm cultivators and those were the reserves. When Night Sorrow arrived, Tai Shu Yen and Yun Tianlong gathered everyone. Looking at the familiar and somewhat unfamiliar faces, Night Sorrow nodded. Everyone probably already knows about this, but it's not an official announcement. Today, I'll tell everyone the details. In about 10 days, we'll face a war. Perhaps it won't be difficult, but everyone has to participate. As a part of the 9 regions world, everyone has to prove their existence. If everyone else has done it, what will you do? Night Sorrow glanced at the cultivators of the 9 regions world. Pacing back and forth, Night Sorrow nodded at Wu Lingfei. In a while, the cultivators will be divided into 3 groups. The first group is at the 9th stage Emperor level, led by Auntie Fei. The second group is at the King level, led by Tianyu. The third group is at the Saint King level, led by Yi Mei. Grandpa, you'll help. Follow the rules. If you don't follow the rules, you'll be ordered to withdraw from this operation. If you don't, you'll be killed on the spot. The requirement is to solve the problem smoothly and return without any casualties. Some of the people around Night Sorrow were very strong, but they didn't have the life imprint of the 9 regions world. They couldn't participate in this operation. Long Jin, Qian Ziwei, Bei Xing, and the others couldn't. Wu Lingfei, Tianyu, and Yi Mei stood up and cupped their hands. There are still 10 days. In these 10 days, strengthen the battle strength of the group. After giving his instructions, Night Sorrow left the martial arts practice field. Wu Lingfei, Long Jin, and Tianyu all took out spatial treasures that could accelerate time. Auntie Fei, you go first, Tianyu said. Wu Lingfei nodded and looked at the monarch-level cultivators who had already formed a team. In our team, trust is the most important thing. Only with trust can we cooperate seamlessly. The time for you to trust me is up. Next, don't resist my soul power wrapping around you. We will enter the space acceleration treasure and cultivate together. If you don't trust me, you can leave. The native emperors of the 9 regions world all knew Wu Lingfei and knew her character. Even Night Sorrow trusted her, so they wouldn't doubt her. Wu Lingfei's soul power enveloped the monarch of the 9 realms world and brought him into her spatial treasure. When they reached Tianyu, Tianyu smiled. Do you believe me? If you do, then we won't say anything. If you don't, then take a step back. We can still be friends in the future. If you don't trust me in battle and doubt my decision, then I won't be polite. Tianyu was very famous in the 9 regions world. Ignoring his morals, he was known for his integrity and battle strength. Tianyu brought his people into the spatial treasure. Now, only Yi Mei and Yiling Huan were left. Night Sorrow made this arrangement not because he was worried that Yi Mei wasn't strong enough, but because the 9 regions world was developing quickly and there were many new Saint Kings. He was afraid that Yi Mei wouldn't know them. With Yiling Huan's help, there wouldn't be such a problem. In the 9 regions world, Yiling Huan was very famous. After making the arrangements, Night Sorrow went to the Heaven Sealing Hall and then to the space where Mo Tianji's body was being suppressed. The origin energy of the 9 regions world vibrated and rushed into Mo Tianji's body, grinding away the Daoist rhymes and soul imprints in her body. Mo Tianji, you stole one of the bodies of my 9 regions world's cultivators. I can take one of your bodies. I can play with you. Looking at Mo Tianji's body, Night Sorrow muttered. He had his own plans and plans for Mo Tianji's body. 10 days passed and the 9 regions world's tribulation officially arrived. After the 2 worlds connected, there was a violent tremor. All the living beings in the 9 regions world could feel it. 7 Most YW New GD Chapter, J Stanza A Super Wu Lingfei, Tianyu, and Yi Mei also appeared with their teams. Time's up. Are you ready? Night Sorrow appeared in front of the team. "We're ready," everyone roared. Night Sorrow's 9 regions doppelganger appeared in front of the heaven's ceiling hole. He shook his arms and the energy in his body shot into the sky. Then, he separated his hands and a space-time tunnel appeared in front of everyone. "I'll say it again. Once you enter, you must obey my orders. If you can't do it, don't enter." After saying that, Night Sorrow's original body entered the tribulation world with his doppelganger. Night Sorrow knew that such a tribulation world was called the evil spirit world. The red coat and blue shadow in King's team were from the evil spirit world. No one left. They all followed Night Sorrow into the space-time tunnel and into the evil spirit world. After entering the evil spirit world, Night Sorrow turned around and looked at the team behind him. This is an unknown world. There are evil spirits in this unknown world. They came to destroy the 9 regions world. What we need to do is destroy them and let the 9 regions world absorb the origin of the evil spirit world. Then, the teams of each level will be divided into 4 teams. Then, everyone will regroup into 4 teams. With this place as the base, we'll explore in 4 directions. After listening to Night Sorrow's orders, the Emperor, King, and Holy King teams were divided into 4 teams. Each team had an Emperor, King, and Holy King. Night Sorrow arranged the leaders of the teams. His original body and doppelganger would lead 2 teams, with Wu Lingfei and Yumei's doppelganger, respectively. Wu Lingfei's original body and Tianyu's doppelganger would lead 1 team. Tianyu's original body and Yumei's original body would lead another team. All 4 teams had experts. No matter what happened to a team, Night Sorrow would know immediately. The other 2 teams had Wu Lingfei and Yumei's original bodies. If there was danger, the doppelganger would immediately notify Night Sorrow. After the arrangements were made, the father and mother were left to guard the entrance. The 4 teams would explore in 4 directions and kill the evil spirits. Everyone knew that this tribulation was a test for the 9 regions world. It was also a test for the cultivators of the 9 regions world. Fighting here was fighting for the 9 regions world. As long as they worked hard, as long as they could return alive, they would be blessed with the power of fate. Chapter 2071. Night Sorrow's main body, Yang Lei, Aoi, several senior brothers from Medicine Valley, and Yu Yang Yu were in the same team. 13. Don't worry too much about Lin Jingyi. It doesn't matter if she's targeting you or not, Yu Yang Yu said. Yu Yang Yu was present when Lin Jingyi spoke in the meeting hall and when she accepted a disciple at the square. Master, you're overthinking it. Her words in the meeting hall were harsh, but that's the truth. As for the disciple ceremony, it's not a big deal that she accepted Nankong as a disciple. Even if she didn't accept him, I would have found someone else to accept him. Nankong may seem like a spoiled brat, but which young man hasn't made mistakes before? You need to give him a chance, Night Sorrow said. It's fine if others accept him, but it's not appropriate for her to appear. It's infuriating, Huanan, who was also in the team, said. It doesn't matter. I don't have much to do with her anyway. Night Sorrow shook his head. He really didn't care about this matter. Master, 3rd senior brother, you might not understand Lin Jingyi. Has she really let go of what happened between her and Night Sorrow? Not necessarily. Some things are buried in the depths of one's memory. It's something that lasts a lifetime. She might be trying to attract Night Sorrow's attention, Yang Lei said. Yeah. She's also a pitiful person. There's no need to be calculated with her. Aoi and Yang Lei had the same opinion. They were now living happily and had children. Therefore, they had some compassion for Lin Jingyi. There was no need for a daughter to make things difficult for a woman. Yes. If some things don't violate one's principles, don't mind it and let it go. Not making things difficult for others is also a kind of kindness, Night Sorrow said. Yu Yang Yu praised in his heart. He knew that this was the foundation and level. After all these years of growth, Night Sorrow's foundation and level were not something that ordinary cultivators could compare to. As the group advanced, battles began. Within this tribulation, the wretched spirit world was filled with wretched spirits, about the same number as the 9 domains world. The world's tribulation was with Night Sorrow. He didn't care, but in reality, the tribulation wasn't that easy to overcome. According to the ancient records, the great world tribulation of the 9 domains of chaos, the cultivators of the reincarnation world fought for hundreds of years before they defeated the evil spirit world. There were many evil spirits, and they were also very strong. In fact, they were the reflections of the 9 domains world. The tribulation was a process of challenging oneself and defeating oneself. Night Sorrow did not make a move as the team behind him would be enough. He only watched to prevent any unexpected incidents. After advancing for half a month, Night Sorrow attacked once and killed an emperor-rank evil spirit. The other 3 teams did the same and shared the same information. As for the tribulation, Night Sorrow wasn't anxious. As the battle progressed, the evil spirit world's aura would become weaker, and the chances of breaking through the 9 domains world would become smaller. This is a bit of a trap. We have checked the situation of the tribulations of the 3 great worlds in the chaos domain. The strongest evil spirit was at the heaven monarch rank. Now, even an emperor rank has appeared. Isn't this bullying? Yang Lei said with some dissatisfaction. Our 9 domains world will be a supreme world in the future. Naturally, the tribulation will be different. Night Sorrow laughed. He wasn't afraid of strong opponents or many opponents. Battles could solve the crisis, so Night Sorrow didn't think much of it. As they went deeper, Night Sorrow fought more and more. He was training his limitless sword art in battle. He wanted to use the limitless sword art to break through the bottleneck of the limitless attribute and push his taboo attribute to the high level. When Night Sorrow fought, most of the others were watching. They were learning the essence of Night Sorrow's battle. They fought during the day and rested at night. Bonfires, barbecued meat, and drank wine. No one felt tired. Half a year had passed, and Night Sorrow and the others had gone a lot deeper. However, they were still far from solving the problem because they had only killed 3 evil spirit emperors. There were still 7 evil spirit emperors and 1 evil spirit supremacy. After killing the 10 evil spirit emperors, they would suppress half of the evil spirit world's power. The evil spirit world would no longer be a threat to the 9 domains world. After killing all 10 evil spirit emperors and evil spirit supremacies, the 9 domains world's tribulation would be completely over. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry to solve the tribulation, but the feeling of being stuck at a bottleneck was very unpleasant. His destruction, void, and space-time attributes were all heavenly down 9 Emperor Tribulation cultivation. He couldn't break through to the Emperor Tribulation, and his limitless attribute couldn't be improved. In other words, Night Sorrow couldn't improve. Night Sorrow couldn't solve these problems, so he could only focus on dealing with the 9 domains world's tribulation. They fought day and night, but they could still make some supplies. When they were advancing, Night Sorrow had ordered to set up teleportation formations at certain intervals. A year later, Night Sorrow's main body led the team hundreds of millions of miles deep. 2 more evil spirit emperors were killed, and they were killed by Wu Lingfei and Tianyu. On this day, Night Sorrow led the team to a special area. It was an area where black energy was surging. Looking at the surging black energy, Night Sorrow muttered, "Destruction storm." Night Sorrow, the destruction energy is so dense. It will be very difficult for us to advance, Wu Lingfei said. The core area. This is the core area of the evil spirit world. The 9 domains world's attribute is the supreme attribute of nothingness. The corresponding attribute of the evil spirit world is the destruction attribute. The venerable evil spirit should be the destruction venerable evil spirit. Knight Sorrow gave his analysis. After thinking for a while, Knight Sorrow made another tactical arrangement. He called the other 3 teams over to deal with the problem here first. Once the venerable evil spirit was dealt with, the remaining evil spirit emperors wouldn't be much of a threat. Following Knight Sorrow's orders, the other teams gathered here. Everyone looked at the area where the black energy was wreaking havoc and thought of a solution. 13th brother, the destruction energy here is so strong. What should we do? We can force our way in, but our strength will be suppressed. How can we deal with the venerable evil spirit? He must be very strong. Tianyu said. Yes, he must be an Emperor Tribulation Realm expert. We can't force our way in, Wu Lingfei said. If we can't do it now, then we'll wait until we can. Everyone, stay here and cultivate. I'll break through and then go in to kill. Knight Sorrow made his decision. Lin Jingyi, who was with Tianyu's team, said, there are only a few people guarding the entrance. If the evil spirits attack the entrance, won't our 9 domains world be in danger? Knight Sorrow didn't reply and turned around to set up the tent. I'm talking to you. Lin Jingyi shouted. I have to hurry up and cultivate and break through. Tianyu, repeat the rules to her. Knight Sorrow looked at Tianyu. Chapter 2072. What do you mean? Lin Jingyi's expression changed when she saw that Knight Sorrow didn't respond and Tianyu didn't hold back. What do you mean? Before we came in, I emphasized to everyone that we have to follow orders. Don't you understand? Tianyu's body emitted energy waves. Lin Jingyi, I'll explain it to you. It's also the last explanation for this operation. Are you worried about the entrance? Knight Sorrow's 9 realms doppelganger is in the heaven's ceiling hole. Do you think you can't guard it? Just do your job well and don't ask about anything else. Wu Lingfei waved her hand at Tianyu and threw out a few words to Lin Jingyi. Knight Sorrow didn't seem to hear their conversation. After the tent was set up, he took out a tea set and brewed a pot of tea. He drank tea and pondered. If it was any other time, he would have opened his mouth to explain, but he wouldn't now. During wartime, if he explained everyone's problems, the war wouldn't be able to continue. Besides, he felt that Lin Jingyi had gone overboard. There was a limit to everything. Seeing everyone's attitude, Lin Jingyi took a deep breath and returned to the team. Set up camp and rest. No one is allowed to leave this area. Wu Lingfei ordered. The team set up camp, but no one disturbed Knight Sorrow because Knight Sorrow had been thinking with his eyes closed. Yi Xiling and Tang Qianqian pulled Lin Jingyi into their tent. Jingyi, what's wrong? Yi Xiling looked at her disciple with a frown. Lin Jingyi lowered her head and didn't speak. Back then, things didn't work out. You were the one who looked down on him first and even kicked him. Of course, he wasn't willing, but it was your fault. After so many years, what else do you want? This time, when Knight Sorrow returned to the 9 realms world, the words you said at the sect meeting were inappropriate. It's just that he didn't care. Yi Xiling was a little agitated and almost shouted at Lin Jingyi. Master, didn't he also say that I was right? Lin Jingyi said. That's because he gave you face and didn't want to refute. He was born in the Medicine Valley. Do you have to tie him to the Medicine Valley? He was also from the Yi clan of the Grand Pure region. Had he ever asked about the development of the Yi clan's Night Moon dynasty? Do you know that this is moral kidnapping? If Knight Sorrow didn't say that what you said made sense, do you think the elders of the Medicine Valley wouldn't refute you? Then you will be slapped in the face in public. Yi Xiling was very angry. If it wasn't for Night Sorrow's magnanimity, then your words would have caused Night Sorrow to withdraw from Medicine Valley. You can think about how serious the problem is. Besides, Nonkong's perseverance is not bad, but no one will take him in. What do you mean? What right do you have to not give face to Night Sorrow? You've crossed the line. Tang Qianqian's face darkened. Although Lin Jingyi was her junior sister, she was grateful to Night Sorrow for everything he had brought to Medicine Valley. Jingyi, Night Sorrow's reputation and virtue are not to be blasphemed or questioned. If you insist on trying, then you will lose your reputation. The signs have already appeared today. Yi Xiling glanced at Lin Jingyi, then turned and left the tent. She was a little disappointed in Lin Jingyi. Tang Qianqian didn't say anything else. She had nothing to say. She had said what she needed to say. Everyone's path and fate were different. Lin Jingyi had to walk her own path. Night Sorrow thought for a while and made a decision to break through to the Imperial Tribulation for the time being. He had some understanding. The infinite attribute was related to the level of the forbidden attribute. The heavenly Tao wouldn't help him so easily. It was harder to take that step than to break through to the Imperial Tribulation. After making the decision, Night Sorrow called Wu Lingfei, Tianyu, and Yi Mei to his side. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion for a while. You guys lead the team. Rules are rules. After saying that, Night Sorrow flashed into the destructive energy storm and released the Haotian godly pagoda. His original body sat at the top and comprehended the destruction attributes momentum of heaven and earth in the acceleration of time. While his original body was meditating, Night Sorrow's doppelganger was cultivating the spear technique beside the Haotian godly pagoda. The spear technique was no longer the infinite spear technique, but the destruction spear technique. Yi Shang had split the heavenly sword technique and cultivated it separately. Previously, he had cultivated the limitless spear technique, which was based on the limitless element. Now, he planned to break through to the Imperial Tribulation. In this environment, the most suitable element to cultivate was the destruction element. Wu Lingfei looked at the shadow of the Haotian godly pagoda in the destructive energy storm. Then, she turned to look at Lin Jingyi, who had just walked out of the tent. Her eyes flashed with killing intent. The killing intent in her eyes made Lin Jingyi take a step back. She knew that Wu Lingfei wanted to kill her. If she said anything inappropriate, Wu Lingfei wouldn't be polite to her. Li Yue, take the teleportation array and go back to get some supplies. If a brother dies in battle, then there's nothing to say. However, we have to live a good life. We can't stop drinking good wine, Tianyu said to Nan Li Yue. Night Sorrow cultivated, and the others also began to cultivate. This was a good place. In the acceleration of time, Night Sorrow attacked the destruction attribute's momentum with all his strength. He was just a little bit away from perfection. This little bit might be able to break through in an instant, but it might take a lot of time to grind it down. Time slipped away bit by bit. Night Sorrow was in a very focused state. Tianyu, we should go to the Heaven Sealing Palace and ask 13th Brother if we should send some people to guard this place and some to continue killing all these evil spirits, Yi Mei said. It's better not to disturb 13th Brother. In fact, this is the key to the problem. If we win here, we can just kill the leader of the evil spirits, Lord Evil Spirit. If we can't kill Lord Evil Spirit, then it's useless no matter how great our achievements are elsewhere, Tianyu said. You're right. You're not as brainless as before. Yi Mei patted Tianyu's shoulder. Ha! Thank you for the compliment. It's too hard for you to praise me, Tianyu said with a smile. He was too familiar with Yi Mei. In the past years, Yi Mei had never been polite to him. She had never praised him at all. Time slipped away bit by bit. However, no one was in a hurry, and there were no other voices. Lin Jingyi stayed in the tent every day and didn't come out. When she came out, no one gave her a good attitude. She had offended the members of the god-slaying team, as well as the majority of the team. In the blink of an eye, 4 years had passed. Night Sorrow hadn't come out for 4 years. He had been cultivating in the acceleration of time for more than 100 years. He had been studying the destruction attribute's momentum all this time. Early in the morning, when everyone had just woken up from their meditation, the sound of rolling thunder came from the destruction attribute's energy storm. Cool unspecified currency E-Smith. E-Net, forever free E-Fee%D. At this time, Night Sorrow appeared. The black energy cloud above his head moved with his body. Chapter 2073. Night Sorrow's main body moved some distance before stopping. He kept looking at the sky. He knew that the lightning tribulation this time would be much stronger than the previous 9 Emperor's tribulations. This was because it was an Emperor's tribulation, which was on a different level. Seeing that Night Sorrow was about to undergo the tribulation, the cultivators of the 9-domain world became serious. This was related to the success or failure of the 9-domain world's tribulation. There could not be any mistakes, so they had to be alert. Night Sorrow, what are the chances of supremacy evil spirit appearing? Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow's doppelganger. Very likely. Supremacy evil spirit is the name given by the 9-domain world's origin. Supremacy is naturally not the supremacy of the 6th tribulation clear heaven realm. It is the name of the world's origin. The 9-domain origin, world of reincarnation, and celestial realms origin all call themselves supremacy. Supremacy evil spirit is a product of the evil spirit world. He has some of the evil spirit world's origin power in his body. He will sense the heavenly tribulation, so he will definitely come out. He won't dare to interrupt my tribulation, but he will attack everyone while I'm undergoing the tribulation. When I'm weak after the tribulation, he will definitely take advantage of me, Night Sorrow said. At this time, the lightning tribulation began. It was a destructive lightning tribulation. The lightning tribulation began to attack Night Sorrow's main body. It's safest to undergo the tribulation in the 9-domain world, but the lightning tribulation is too fast. Aunt Fei, if there is an uncontrollable situation, use the spatial treasure to bring everyone back to the 9-domain world. Night Sorrow's doppelganger stood in place. He did not want to take the risk. He felt that even if supremacy evil spirit was strong, he would have no problem retreating. However, the team was different. If they were attacked by supremacy evil spirit, they would inevitably be injured. You can do it. Wu Lingfei nodded at Night Sorrow. Supremacy evil spirit's cultivation is the same as mine. The reason why I chose to increase my cultivation before fighting is because he has the geographical advantage in the destructive energy storm. If he comes out, my doppelganger can fight, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow's avatar chatted with Wu Lingfei while his main body underwent his tribulation. The 9-domain world's team was also on alert. The thunder tribulation continuously bombarded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow used the virtuous immortal body and the reincarnation spear continuously attacked the thunder tribulation. This power is too strong. If we get caught up in it, we'll be killed. Yi Mei said as she watched Night Sorrow and the thunder retribution clash. That's something we don't understand. The Imperial Tribulation is the highest level of cultivators in the celestial realm, Wu Lingfei said. When the 5th wave of lightning tribulation arrived, the destructive energy storm let out a long howl. As the long howl faded, a red-robed man with loose black hair appeared. Night Sorrow's doppelganger held the blood-Qilin evil punishing spear and stood at the front of the group. I didn't pay attention to you guys because I thought it wouldn't matter if you jumped, but I didn't expect you to undergo the Imperial Tribulation before me. Then, I can only kill you in advance and then unify your world. No, that should be my world. The red-robed man with black hair said. He was the king of the evil spirit world, supremacy evil spirit. He was also the realm master of the evil spirit world. You said it. If it's useful, then we don't have to work so hard to cultivate. Night Sorrow said. It's useless to talk. Fight. Supremacy evil spirit stretched out his arm and a blood-red saber appeared in his hand. Then, he waved the saber and slashed at Night Sorrow. The saber was black and red. It wasn't just destructive energy. It was a combination of destructive energy, fire attribute, and water attribute. Night Sorrow waved the blood chill and evil punishing spear and the forbidden reincarnation attribute energy was poured into the blood chill and evil punishing spear. Bang! With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow and Supremacy Evil Spirit were evenly matched. At the same time, their expressions changed. Night Sorrow used the virtuous immortal body's energy and the reincarnation attribute suppression, but he didn't have the upper hand. Supremacy Evil Spirit was also very shocked. Because he used the Evil Spirit World source energy to support him, he didn't suppress Night Sorrow's attack. After one move, Night Sorrow and Supremacy Evil Spirit were facing each other. Night Sorrow smiled. He understood why he didn't have the upper hand. It was because the Evil Spirit World source energy was suppressing him. He also received a message from the 9-domain body. Next, the 9-domain body's source energy would support him and cancel out the Evil Spirit World source energy in his attack. In other words, both of them were realm masters. Neither of them could use the Evil Spirit World source energy to suppress the other. Even if Night Sorrow was in the Evil Spirit World, Supremacy Evil Spirit couldn't use the Evil Spirit World source energy to suppress him. At this time, Supremacy Evil Spirit's roar attracted many evil spirits. Among them, there were 2 evil spirit emperors. The battle started again. Supremacy Evil Spirit couldn't let Night Sorrow go through his tribulation. If this dragged on, it would be disadvantageous for him. Supremacy Evil Spirit's clone appeared. The main body and the clone attacked Night Sorrow. Wu Lingfei and Tianyu blocked the 2 evil spirit emperors. Yi Mei led the team to fight against the evil spirits. With the 9-domain body source energy supporting him, Night Sorrow didn't fall into a disadvantage against Supremacy Evil Spirit's main body. But when the clone appeared, Night Sorrow was restricted and suppressed. At this time, Night Sorrow used the reincarnation domain. He could use the power of virtue to support the domain and suppress Supremacy Evil Spirit. However, he didn't do that. He only used the void step to protect himself. He was worried that if he used his full strength, Supremacy Evil Spirit would find that it was hopeless to kill his clone and attack the others. He could block Supremacy Evil Spirit, but the others couldn't. Whether it was Wu Lingfei or Tianyu, they couldn't block it. In addition, if Night Sorrow wanted to kill Supremacy Evil Spirit's main body or clone, it wouldn't be easy. Even if Supremacy Evil Spirit sent out its main body or clone to attack the cultivators of the other 9-domain world, it would immediately return and resolve the crisis. The battle was very intense. In the highest level battle, Night Sorrow was in a passive position. However, those who understood Night Sorrow weren't worried. This was because Night Sorrow didn't use his power of virtue. He didn't even use the space-time realm. He completely pretended to be weak and restrained Supremacy Evil Spirit's main body and clone. As for the Emperor rank battle, Wu Lingfei used the extreme frost world and had the absolute advantage. She suppressed her opponent and attacked. This was because her cultivation was lower than her opponent and couldn't quickly kill him. In the battle between Tianyu and his opponent, they were evenly matched. His cultivation wasn't as high as his opponent's, but he had a divine beast body. His strength and speed were stronger, making up for the lack of cultivation. As for the other battles, the cultivators of the 9-domain world had the absolute advantage. The cultivators formed formations and fought, constantly killing Supremacy Evil Spirit. Let's see how long you can last. Looking in the direction of Night Sorrow's main body's tribulation, Supremacy Evil Spirit roared and attacked violently. He knew that once Night Sorrow passed the lightning tribulation, he would completely fall into a passive position. He might even have to retreat immediately and enter the destructive energy storm to seek a breakthrough. He was currently in the 9 Emperor Tribulations of the Heavenly Tao. Supremacy Evil Spirit used his full strength. His main body and clone speed and energy attack strength increased by a lot. However, Night Sorrow's defense was still very stable. When there was danger, he would use the space-time realm. He was stalling for time. When his main body passed the tribulation, he would be able to go all out. Speak. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.